How desperate can this man be? To escape a blind date, he's practically killing himself. The distinguished CEO of a black market tech company. Because he's young and successful, many business partners want to set up the 25-year-old talent on dates. The CEO, Run Chuan, was annoyed by the endless blind dates. So at a cocktail party, he made a bold declaration that he had terminal stomach cancer. The women from the blind date were immediately stunned. Ren Chuan, looking utterly grief-stricken, told the two women that he was going to transfer his shares and be hospitalized the next day. The old man, with an awkward face, asked, "Can you drink with stomach cancer?" Unexpectedly, Ren Chuan tilted his head back and downed the wine in his glass in one gulp. Then, with tears streaming down his face, he said, "The last sip of my life." Ren Chuan's assistant, behind him, even played along with a pipa, putting on a dramatic performance of life and death. The old man politely asked which hospital Ren Chuan was in, saying he'd like to visit with his daughter. Who would have thought Ren Chuan would even make requests, telling the old man what he likes and dislikes to eat. Then he even told the blind date, "I like the bikini-style swimsuit. Don't wear anything else. Remember to wear it." After saying this, he left the two stunned women and walked away coolly with his assistant, Meng Chun. Honestly, this CEO is such a scumbag. Leaving the hotel, Meng Chun asked his boss if he was really going to the hospital. Ren Chuan grumbled that if he didn't find a place to hide, he'd be eaten alive by those women. Meng Chun rolled his eyes. "But you don't have to curse yourself to death." Ren Chuan grabbed Meng Chun and warned him, "From now on, I have terminal stomach cancer. If anyone asks, I'm terminally ill and in critical condition. Got it?" The next day, the great CEO Ren Chuan got his wish and put on a patient gown, checking into the hospital. He couldn't help but strike a few poses. Towards his boss's intermittent fits of madness, Meng Chun just turned a blind eye. "This is a gift for your fellow patient." Ren Chuan opened it and saw a pink mug. Could the person next door be a cute, curvy girl? Getting to stay in the hospital with a cute girl? It couldn't get any better. Meng Chun asked his boss if he should stay. "In case you cremate yourself, someone needs to dig a grave for you. Or should I call Mr. Xiao over?" Ren Chuan immediately roared in anger. "We broke up?" Hearing this, Meng Chun took out his notebook and made a mark. Then he asked his boss for the reason for the breakup. Unexpectedly, Ren Chuan said in a rage, "That brat not only squandered my money, but when I finally got his pants off, his hemorrhoids burst and bled everywhere. It almost made me impotent." While diligently taking notes, Meng Chun assured his boss, "For future men, I'll definitely do more thorough physical exams. It's best to check their entire family history for 18 generations." Then Meng Chun asked Ren Chuan, "Do you need any special services during your hospital stay?" Ren Chuan was furious. "I have terminal stomach cancer. What am I supposed to use to have sex?" How desperate can this man be? To escape a blind date, he's practically killing himself. The distinguished CEO of a black market tech company. Because he's young and successful, many business partners want to set up the 25-year-old talent on dates. The CEO, Run Chuan, was annoyed by the endless blind dates. So at a cocktail party, he made a bold declaration that he had terminal stomach cancer. The women from the blind date were immediately stunned. Ren Chuan, looking utterly grief-stricken, told the two women that he was going to transfer his shares and be hospitalized the next day. The old man, with an awkward face, asked, "Can you drink with cancer?" Unexpectedly, Ren Chuan tilted his head back and downed the wine in his glass in one gulp. Then, with tears streaming down his face, he said, "The last sip of my life." Ren Chuan's assistant behind him even played along with a handkerchief, putting on a dramatic act. The old man politely asked which hospital Ren Chuan was in, saying as a friend, he'd like to visit with his daughter. Who would have thought Ren Chuan would even make requests, telling the old man what he likes and dislikes to eat. Then he even told the blind date, "I like the bikini-style swimsuit. Don't wear anything else. Remember to wear it." After saying this, he left the two stunned women and walked away coolly with his assistant, Meng Chun. Honestly, this CEO is such a scumbag. Leaving the hotel, Meng Chun asked his boss if he was really going to the hospital. Ren Chuan grumbled that if he didn't find a place to hide, he'd be eaten alive by those women. Meng Chun rolled his eyes. "But you don't have to curse yourself to death." Ren Chuan grabbed Meng Chun and warned him, "From now on, I have terminal stomach cancer. If anyone asks, I'm terminally ill and in critical condition. Got it?" The next day, the great CEO Ren Chuan got his wish and put on a patient patient gown, checking into the hospital. He couldn't help but strike a few poses towards his boss's intermittent fits of madness. Meng Chun just turned a blind eye. This is a gift for your fellow patient. Rin Chuan opened it and saw a pink mug. Could the person next door be a cute, curvy girl? Getting to stay in the hospital with a cute girl? It couldn't get any better. Meng Chun asked his boss if he should stay. In case you cremate yourself, someone needs to dig a grave for you. Or should I call Mr. Xiao over? Rin Chuan immediately roared in anger. We broke up. Hearing this, Meng Chun took out his notebook and made a mark. Then he asked his boss for the reason for the breakup. Unexpectedly, Rin Chuan said in a rage, "That brat not only squandered my money, but when I finally got his pants off, his hemorrhoids burst and bled everywhere." It almost made me impotent. While diligently taking notes, Meng Chun assured his boss, "For future men, I'll definitely do more thorough physical exams. It's best to check their entire family history for 18 generations." Then Meng Chun asked Rin Chuan, "Do you need any special services during your hospital stay?" Rin Chuan was furious. "I have terminal stomach cancer. What am I supposed to use to have sex?" This CEO is quite ruthless. To avoid a blind date, he directly claimed to have terminal stomach cancer and checked into a hospital. After kicking out that damn assistant, Rin Chuan, holding the gift, ran joyfully to the next room. He pushed open the door with an elegant posture. "Oops, sorry to disturb you." But on the bed sat a handsome man with a cold face, who asked Rin Chuan who he was. Rin Chuan was immediately stunned. Where was his curvy beauty? How did she turn into a foot-picking brute? "Damn you, Meng Chun. You've tricked me again." Rin Chuan knelt on the ground, crying sadly. A beautiful picture of a handsome man picking his feet. Is this a sight we're meant to see? The man on the bed clapped his hands. "No need for such a grand gesture on our first meeting." Just as he finished speaking, he saw the gift box next to Rin Chuan. While saying, "Fellow patient, you're too kind," his hands were not polite at all and picked it up. Just as he was about to open it, Rin Chuan, terrified, rushed forward to stop him. But it was too late. The pink mug had already appeared. The two of them instantly fell into an awkward silence. Rin Chuan cried out in his heart, "My manhunting plan is ruined." Suddenly, the handsome man put a hand on Rin Chuan's shoulder, his face blushing. "How did you know I like pink?" Rin Chuan was completely stunned. A grown man who likes pink? Could he be a sissy? Before Rin Chuan could speak, the man extended the hand he had just used to pick his feet. "Hello, my name is Jiang Hung. I was admitted a week ago." After the first meeting ceremony was over, Rin Chuan took the hand that had been held by the foot-picking man, and wiped it vigorously on his butt. Jiang Hung didn't seem to mind and asked Rin Chuan what illness he was admitted for. Rin Chuan laughed dryly, shaking his hand. "A minor problem, a bit of athlete's foot. I'll be discharged soon." Jiang Hung turned around with a puzzled look. "But this is the oncology department." At Jiang Heng's words, Rin Chuan suddenly remembered. "This is the ward for terminal cancer patients." He immediately clutched his stomach and cried out, "Ouch!" Putting on a face like a hanged ghost, he said his athlete's foot had spread to his stomach, causing a stomach tumor. "Pity." Jiang Hung smiled gently. "That sounds quite serious." But inwardly, he was mocking Rin Chuan as an idiot. Athlete's foot spreading to the stomach? One must say, that's a peculiar fetish. Seeing Jiang Hung turn to leave, Rin Chuan blindly asked, "What about you?" Jiang Hung stood by the window with a serious face. "A corn grew on my liver, causing a liver tumor." "Damn, you two are really a pair. The origins of these diseases are so damn absurd." This man, in order to escape a blind date, decisively said he had terminal stomach cancer and then logically checked into a hospital. He thought the person in the next room would be a curvy girl, but it turned out to be a foot-picking uncle who loves pink. Calling him an uncle is a bit of an insult. He's actually quite a beauty. A fellow patient asked Rin Chuan what his illness was. Rin Chuan actually said his athlete's foot infected his stomach, leading to terminal stomach cancer. The origin of this disease is truly peculiar and bizarre. Then Rin Chuan asked his fellow patient about his illness. The origin of his disease was even more bizarre. A corn grew on his liver, causing terminal liver cancer. Damn, medical school experts would probably want to go back to school after hearing this. Rin Chuan patted Jiang Heng's shoulder. "We're truly fated to meet. Why don't we become sworn brothers sometime?" Then Rin Chuan wiped the corner of his eye and asked Jiang Hung how much time he had left. Jiang Hung said, 2 or 3 months, maybe half a year, it's uncertain. Rin Chuan lowered his head, his face slightly flushed. I'm the same as you. Not much time left. But in his heart, he was crying. The beauty he finally met actually has terminal liver cancer. What a pity. I say, big brother Rin Chuan, aren't you the least bit suspicious? Can a corn even grow on a liver? Rin Chuan asked with concern if Jiang Hung was in pain. Jiang Hung smiled gently. It's okay. I'm numb to it now. Suddenly, Rin Chuan's peripheral vision caught sight of a deluxe package of spicy river snail noodles on the corner of the table. Can someone with liver cancer eat that stuff? Jiang Hung quickly ran over and hugged it. With a dark expression, he said, I told them I can't eat it, but they insisted on sending it. Aren't they just wishing for me to die sooner? I'm going to throw it away. Rin Chuan suddenly blocked Jiang Heng's path. A little shyly, he said, why don't you give it to me? Jiang Hung was stunned. Can someone with stomach cancer eat spicy river snail noodles? Rin Chuan looked awkward. I mean, I'll help you throw it away. Jiang Hung was extremely reluctant in his heart, but on the surface, he still had to say thank you. In the end, he could only watch as his favorite food was taken away. The moment Rin Chuan walked out of the room with the spicy river snail noodles, that he immediately showed his true colors. He hugged the spicy river snail noodles and jumped for joy. He never expected to get his hands on the long-sought-after deluxe package so easily. Later, he'd share some with the young nurses to build a good doctor-patient relationship. Just as Rin Chuan was feeling smug, a cold male voice came from behind. Chuan, it really is you. What are you doing in a patient gown? Are you here for a circumcision? Rin Chuan looked at the stomach tumor expert in front of him. He was so angry he almost breathed fire. You're the one getting a circumcision. Your whole family is getting circumcisions. I have terminal stomach cancer. 2 great CEOs forced into the hospital by blind dates, each more ridiculous than the last. Not only were the people amusing, but the causes of their illnesses were also unheard of. And Rin Chuan was one of them, a big boss who got stomach cancer from an athlete's foot infection. The beauty next door had terminal liver cancer because a corn grew on his liver. The key is that the other party actually believed this bizarre cause. Rin Chuan was even more regretful. The handsome young man he had finally taken a liking to didn't have many days left. So, to help the handsome man live a couple more days, Rin Chuan tricked Jiang Hung out of 3 large boxes of deluxe, spicy river snail noodles. Just as he was thinking of using the gift to build a good doctor-patient relationship, he ran into an acquaintance, the stomach tumor expert Cui Mingho. Cui Mingho looked at Rin Chuan in his patient gown and jokingly asked if he was there for a circumcision. Rin Chuan was furious and loudly explained that he had terminal stomach cancer. Cui Mingho got angry. Terminal stomach cancer? Then who was the bastard drinking with me a few days ago? Rin Chuan quickly put on a fawning smile. Grandpa, quiet down. Please don't expose your grandson. Cui Mingho roared. Explain clearly what you're here for, or I'll have you discharged right now. Rin Chuan guiltily explained that he just wanted to come in for a vacation. Cui Mingho almost exploded with anger. A vacation in a hospital? Do you want a one-day tour of the morgue too? Seeing Cui Mingho get angry, Rin Chuan quickly explained with teary eyes that he had no choice but to resort to this to escape his blind dates. Cui Mingho held his head. You pig brain. Stomach tumors can be cured. Those blind dates will still come to the hospital. Rin Chuan became anxious at this and immediately said he would choose to be cremated on the spot. Cui Mingho was speechless and roared, You really are my dear uncle. Get back to your bed and lie down. A terminal patient isn't as lively as you. As soon as Rin Chuan heard this, he knew someone was helping him cover up. He quickly held up the spicy river snail noodles he had robbed to try and curry favor. But Cui Mingho made an exorbitant demand. With terminal stomach cancer, you can't eat anything but crap. After saying this, he took all the spicy river snail noodles and left. Rin Chuan shed sad tears, watching helplessly as the spoils of war were intercepted. The next day, Jiang Hung and Rin Chuan were in the room, planning their route to the cafeteria. The girl outside the door was a bit hard of hearing. She misheard enter the hall as enter the well. Paired with the affectionate sounds, she thought the two were doing indescribable things in the room in broad daylight. But the two people in the room were really just discussing the route. It's just that the distance between them had quietly closed without them noticing. After they finished planning, Jiang Hung learned that Ren Chuan didn't have a lunchbox and very generously offered his own. Ren Chuan looked at the man who put so much effort and planning into just getting lunch. He thought to himself, could his liver cancer be affecting his brain? He's treating a meal like a battle. You can watch for free on UC browser. Suddenly, Jiang Hung glanced at his watch and said, it's time. Ren Chuan looked. Isn't it only 11 o'clock? Is that too early? Before he could finish, Jiang Hung grabbed his wrist and said affectionately, stay close to me. I'll make sure you get to eat. Ren Chuan's heart pounded and his face flushed, stimulated by that gentle face. Before Ren Chuan could say anything, he was already being pulled out the door by Jiang Hung. Ren Chuan was about to say slow down, but when he looked back, he saw a dense crowd of people. He was so scared he almost cursed it out loud. What is going on? Hearing Jiang Hung say, let's fight for the braised pork, Ren Chuan became even more unsettled. Good heavens, is this a zombie apocalypse? Isn't it just a meal? Good heavens, is this a zombie apocalypse? Ren Chuan originally thought Jiang Hung's liver cancer might be affecting his brain. He even had to meticulously plan a route just to eat. But the moment he was pulled out the door, Ren Chuan couldn't stay calm anymore. You can watch for free on UC browser. Looking back, there was a dense crowd behind them, their eyes shining with a golden light, constantly muttering braised pork. Anyone who didn't know better would think it was a horde of hungry ghosts being unleashed. So the two of them sprinted along their battle route. Ren Chuan was exhausted. Isn't it not worth it to die of exhaustion for a single meal of beef? But Jiang Hung said it wasn't ordinary beef. Ren Chuan was running until he was dizzy. Could that beef be gold-plated? But Ren Chuan didn't say it out loud. He just worriedly asked Jiang Hung, after running for so long, does your liver hurt? Unexpectedly, as soon as he finished speaking, Jiang Hung's hurried steps came to a halt. He clutched his stomach and bent over. I can't. I'm about to give birth. Oh no, I'm about to die. This time, Ren Chuan couldn't stay calm. He looked around everywhere for a doctor. How can this liver cancer just act up like that? Suddenly, Jiang Hung stood up straight, looking radiant, and said, I'm not in pain. Ren Chuan couldn't keep up with his pace. Just a moment ago, his face was contorted in pain, and in a flash, he was so refreshed. Faced with Ren Chuan's stunned expression, Jiang Hung awkwardly scratched the back of his head. Actually, it was just a little pain. A meal of beef will fix it. After speaking, he once again grabbed Ren Chuan's hand and anxiously set off on their journey. We're running out of time. We'll talk on the way. So Ren Chuan, with his confused mind, was dragged along at top speed by the fleet-footed Jiang Hung. The key thing was that Jiang Hung could actually, while running at high speed, calmly, and without panting, tell Ren Chuan the benefits of eating beef. Finally, they reached the cafeteria entrance. Seeing the endless line, it was obvious their battle plan had failed. Ren Chuan looked at Jiang Hung's grief-stricken face, worried that his liver was hurting again. But instead, Jiang Hung dropped to his knees and wailed, the braised beef is gone. This scene left Ren Chuan completely stunned. Liver cancer really can affect the brain. By the time the two got to the window, there were only 2 pieces of meat left. For these 2 pieces of meat, they started acting like perfect gentlemen. I don't want it. You give it to him. No, your liver is bad. You eat it. The two of them politely deferred to each other, which sparked public outrage. The cafeteria lady picked up her large ladle and roared, 1 piece each. Get your food and scram. Can't you see how many people are behind you? After getting their food, Jiang Hung went to find a seat first. Ren Chuan happily held his tray piled high with food, constantly praising what a good hospital it was in his heart. Unlimited vegetables and rice. Jiang Hung looked at the mountain of food about to overflow and was shocked. Could someone with stomach cancer eat this much? Ren Chuan's happy little hands immediately trembled. He then awkwardly explained, this is my end-of-life care. Even if I die, I want to die as a well-fed ghost. After speaking, he put the single piece of beef into his mouth. He happily told Jiang Hung, this meat is delicious. Jiang Hung looked regretful. It is delicious, isn't it? We were just 1 minute too late. Suddenly, Ren Chuan started to gag, scaring Jiang Hung into thinking his stomach hurt. He was about to call a doctor. Ren Chuan quickly waved his hand, saying a peppercorn was stuck in his throat. Jiang Hung breathed a sigh of relief and said they both needed to take better care of their bodies. Then he continued, let's be earlier tomorrow. I heard there might be spicy crayfish. Rin Chuan thought about how he could hold hands again tomorrow and was overjoyed. After eating, Jiang Hung stood up to return his tray. Suddenly, he cried ouch. Rin Chuan rushed forward to support him, anxiously asking, "Should I send you to the emergency room or the morgue?" Jiang Hung raised his hand and put on Rin Chuan's arm, saying awkwardly, "I just threw out my back." Good grief. Can you two stop being so dramatic? For that one bite of gold-plated beef, Jiang Hung dragged Rin Chuan along their strict battle route, but they were still 1 minute too late. Even eating lunch, the two couldn't be peaceful. One choked on a peppercorn, the other threw out his back while standing up. They almost sent each other to the emergency room. Luckily, it was a false alarm. You can watch for free on UC browser. After returning to the room, Jiang Hung sat on the bed reading a book, while Rin Chuan fiddled with his model rocket. Suddenly, Jiang Hung asked Rin Chuan what he did for a living. Rin Chuan's hand trembled, and then he said he was just a delivery man. Jiang Hung said with some sympathy, "Your line of work must be very tough." It's all right. Sometimes I get strange orders, but the tips are good. After speaking, Rin Chuan thought to himself, good thing I usually watch a lot of videos, otherwise I really wouldn't know how to bluff my way through this. Then he asked Jiang Hung what he did for work. Jiang Heng's voice was gentle. A junior clerk in venture capital. Maybe I can help you trade some stocks. As soon as Rin Chuan heard stocks, his occupational habit kicked in, and he started analyzing the current stock market trends. As he was talking, he noticed Jiang Hung staring at him. Rin Chuan thought his stunning looks had captured another beauty. But the beauty was curious. How does a delivery guy know about the stock market? Occupational habits are a disease too. I almost blew my cover. He then guiltily explained that he had a book by his bed called Become a Stock God in 1 minute, but he had only read the first 10 pages. After hearing this, Jiang Hung didn't find anything wrong with it. Instead, he encouraged Rin Chuan, saying it's good to learn more things. Rin Chuan stared blankly at Jiang Hung, a blush creeping onto his face unknowingly. This person is truly a demon. So damn handsome. It's a pity his life is short. Rin Chuan came to his senses and quickly pressed down on his racing heart, asking Jiang Hung if he had any wishes before he died. Jiang Hung considered for a moment. My wish is to eat the cafeteria's beef without any limits. Rin Chuan was a little disappointed. Isn't that wish a bit too ordinary? So he asked Jiang Hung if he had any other wishes. Jiang Hung held his book, a reminiscent look on his face. Can I have a pound of spicy crayfish? Both garlic and 13 spice flavors. Rin Chuan was speechless. How come every wish is about food? How can this person be both handsome and gluttonous? Rin Chuan remembered Jiang Hung mentioning that the cafeteria had crayfish today, but what if they missed it again? So he took out his phone and sent a few messages to his assistant, Meng Chun. Just as Rin Chuan was concentrating on directing his subordinate, Jiang Heng's voice suddenly sounded. When did you find out you were sick? Rin Chuan was so scared, he quickly hid his phone in his sleeve. Still shaken, he said, indigestion a little anemic. Then when I discovered the stomach cancer, I had already started vomiting blood. Don't be fooled by how much I eat. I actually vomit 3 sheng of blood every day. Jiang Hung heard 3 sheng and was so scared he couldn't even hold his book. 3 sheng is equal to 6 jin, right? But Rin Chuan didn't realize at all that the amount was wrong and kept exaggerating. When it's serious, I vomit into a basin. That's why the doctor recommended I eat more blood-enriching foods. Jiang Hung frowned. He didn't expect Chuaner's illness to be so serious. He then took out his phone and contacted his assistant to buy more goji berries. And pork liver. Seeing Jiang Hung frown, Rin Chuan quickly comforted him, saying, I'm used to vomiting. You can think of it as exercise. Unexpectedly, Jiang Hung suddenly leaned in, his eyes full of sincerity. Chuaner, try to live a few more days. The sudden closeness and sincere gaze made Rin Chuan a little shy. This suggestive expression, I'm really afraid I'll have a wet dream tonight. Then, Jiang Hung took out a desk calendar and told Rin Chuan to mark a check on the calendar for every day he lives. This can give you hope to keep living. Rin Chuan looked at the calendar, so moved he was on the verge of tears. This is the first thing he's given me, and he's encouraging me to live on. Oh my God, I'm so touched. Suddenly, I really wish I had terminal stomach cancer. That way, I could be cremated with him. Have you ever seen stomach cancer caused by athlete's foot? Rin Chuan is a young and successful CEO of a large company worth over $100 million. To escape blind dates, he faked an illness and checked into a hospital. Unexpectedly, the patient in the next room also had terminal liver cancer because his athlete's foot grew on his liver. Seeing Seeing such a fateful connection, Ren Chuan immediately pulled him in to become sworn brothers and even told his new friend that he was just a delivery man. And so, the two brothers in misfortune kept each other company in the hospital, sharing a mutual sympathy. The day before, although the brothers had formulated a detailed battle plan, they were still 1 minute late. Only 2 pieces of his brother's beloved beef were left. Ren Chuan couldn't bear to see his good brother die with regrets. So he sent a message to his assistant, telling him to bring spicy crayfish and to remember to dress like a delivery man. But Ren Chuan had finished assembling his huge rocket, and the assistant's crayfish still hadn't arrived. Why is this guy so slow today? I have to dock his pay. Ren Chuan picked up his phone to rush him. Where are you? It's just 2 boxes of crayfish, not plucking the moon from the sky. At this moment, Meng Chun, sitting on the toilet, was radiating a dark aura. Looking at the life-threatening text messages, he thought the boss's stomach cancer must have caused his IQ to drop. Although he complained about his boss 1,000 times at his heart, compared to his salary, it was better to just obey. Meng Chun changed into the delivery man's uniform, stood up, and pushed open the bathroom door. I'm a perfectly good assistant. How did I end up being an idiot along with my boss? Meng Chun, carrying the spicy crayfish, knocked on the door, full of resentment. Delivery's here. Please open the door. Hearing this, Ren Chuan quickly ran out, shouting, Over here, over here. Meng Chun looked back at his happy boss. Why'd he run into someone else's room? Although he had many complaints in his heart, he still played his part and handed over the crayfish, saying, Sir, your delivery. After speaking, he turned to leave, but was suddenly stopped by Ren Chuan. Meng Chun thought his boss had some work matters to discuss, but his boss whispered from behind him, You forgot to say something. Remember the 5-star review. Meng Chun was so angry his eyes were spitting fire. The stomach cancer really has seriously affected his brain. So he bent over and roared, Please give a 5-star review. Just as he finished roaring, a nurse from the next room came out and scolded. Hey you, don't you know you can't shout in the hospital ward? Jiang Hung, inside the room, also heard the nurse's voice and called out Chuan. Ren Chuan quickly said, It's nothing. The delivery is here. Then he waved at Meng Chun. Before Meng Chun could speak, the door slammed shut. Damn it, I really want to kick the door down. Ren Chuan placed the crayfish on the table and told Jiang Hung, a colleague happened to be delivering crayfish, so he brought a portion for us. Jiang Hung was surprised. Can deliveries enter the hospital? Ren Chuan quickly asked for a chance to explain. After getting Jiang Hung's permission, he whispered, The delivery guys are on call for internal VIP customers. They can even deliver to Mars. Ren Chuan stared nervously at the silent Jiang Hung, thinking, was there a flaw in what I said? Before Ren Chuan could explain again, Jiang Hung, who had been frowning, suddenly looked envious. The membership is so expensive. You can actually afford it. Ren Chuan breathed a sigh of relief. Good thing the other party is a simpleton. I didn't blow my cover. Then he told Jiang Hung to hurry up and try before it got cold. Jiang Hung stared at Ren Chuan, who was about to happily peel a crayfish, and said seriously, Can you eat crayfish with terminal stomach cancer? Ren Chuan was stunned for a moment. He brought the crayfish in his hand to his lips and gave a kiss. With a deep and reluctant tone, he said, I'm not going to eat it. I just wanted to kiss it. Before he could finish his act, Jiang Hung extended his hand, his voice as gentle as water. You've kissed it. Now give it to me. Ren Chuan quickly said he still had a ritual to perform. Then he put his hands together in a prayer-like gesture, bent down, and kissed the back of the crayfish again. In his heart, a river of tears was flowing. My dear little crayfish, goodbye. Looking at Ren Chuan's appearance, anyone who didn't know better would think this was a cross-species romance. In the end, Ren Chuan could only cry noodle tears, watching helplessly as Jiang Hung devoured the 2 large boxes of crayfish. What cruelty! This is karma. I shouldn't have snatched his spicy river snail noodles. Suddenly, Ren Chuan slowly leaned towards Jiang Hung's face, murmuring, Jiang Hung, I was wondering if you could let me have a taste? To prevent his good buddy from dying with regrets, Ren Chuan finally had his assistant disguise himself as a delivery man and send over 2 large portions of crayfish. He thought he could indulge his cravings alongside his good brother, but his terminal stomach cancer meant he wasn't allowed to eat. Ren Chuan could only watch with longing as his good friend Jiang Hung smacked his lips, eating with great relish. You can watch for free on UC browser. Meanwhile, At the hospital entrance, Jiang Heng's assistant, Zhong Yin, was arguing with the security guard, trying to prove that he really wasn't a delivery man. But the security guard didn't believe him at all, even saying his fiery golden eyes could see through a delivery guy's tricks at a glance. Zhong Yin sighed a long sigh. He had talked until his mouth was dry. What was he to do? Suddenly, he saw a blur in the iconic color, speeding by at 800 miles per hour. He immediately questioned the security guard uncle. Aren't delivery men not allowed in? Why'd he get in? The security guard uncle took one look. This won't do. He'd get chewed out again if his superior found out. He immediately charged towards Meng Chun. Seeing this, Zhong Yin took off like a whirlwind and dashed into the hospital. After much difficulty, he reached the hospital room door. Panting, he knocked on the door, recalling the scene of being chased by the security guard. Truly a thrilling experience. Who do you think he was risking his life for? The door creaked open. The person inside reached out and snatched the bag from Zhong Yin's hands, whispering, "Hurry up and go. Don't let anyone hear you." Zhong Yin wanted to say he wanted to come into the room to catch his breath, but was blocked by Jiang Heng with a pat, who said seriously, "From now on, you're the boss. I am Zhuji." Zhong Yin wanted to say something more, but seeing Jiang Heng's dead serious gaze, he immediately swallowed his words. Jiang Heng fiercely urged him, "Hurry and go." Then the door was mercilessly shut. Zhong Yin cried. He had made a 100-meter dash to deliver some warmth, only to be shut out like this. "Boss, I'm the one who risked my life for you." Inside the hospital room, Jiang Heng handed the bag to Ren Chuan and said gently, "You treated me to lobster, so I'm treating you to pork liver congee." Ren Chuan was full of questions. "Didn't you say the hospital doesn't allow outside food deliveries?" Jiang Heng gave an awkward smile. That was a timely comeback. He then explained that delivery drivers work too hard, so he also signed up for a membership. Ren Chuan was moved to tears. He asked Jiang Heng if he would support him in the same way if he went back to work. Jiang Heng nodded with great certainty and solemnly stated that not only would he support him, but he would also have his entire company's employees support him. Hearing this, Ren Chuan tilted his head, his face full of questions. "Your company's employees?" Jiang Heng quickly turned around to hide his panic and corrected himself, saying he would hand out promotional flyers to all the employees in his company. At these words, Ren Chuan was even more moved. At this moment, he was seeing Jiang Heng through a thick filter. He couldn't help but sigh internally. So beautiful and kind-hearted. He's simply my dream partner. Too bad he's destined for an early grave. Looking at the heartwarming pork liver congee in his hands, still steaming hot, every mouthful was so sweet. Seeing the person eating so happily, Jiang Heng thought to himself secretly, "This was specially cooked for you by a state banquet chef. After drinking this, you better do me proud and live a couple more days." Ren Chuan quickly finished the congee. Then he lay on the bed, happily letting out a burp. He sighed internally. The craftsmanship of this little street side shop is really good. Suddenly, Jiang Heng reached out and wiped away a grain of rice from the corner of Ren Chuan's mouth. The ambiguous atmosphere instantly heated up by several degrees. Ren Chuan felt a bit shy and covered his mouth with his hand, but Jiang Heng grabbed it, his face serious. "Why don't you have a needle mark on your hand?" Only then did Ren Chuan realize he had forgotten about this detail. So he stammered that he had just been admitted and the doctor said to let him acclimate for a few days first. Jiang Heng nodded, patting Ren Chuan's shoulder comfortingly. "In a bit, I'll watch over you while you get your 4-drip. You don't know anything. It'll be bad if the blood flows back." Ren Chuan quickly refused, saying he was afraid of needles. "People will laugh if they see a grown man crying." Jiang Heng brought his forehead close to Ren Chuan's, exceptionally serious. "It's okay. Cry if you want to cry. I'll be here to comfort you." In the end, Ren Chuan couldn't resist Jiang Heng's gentle bombardment. He hesitantly agreed, saying he was scared of the pain since it was the first time, so only Dr. Cui could do it. Jiang Heng nodded and comforted him in a soft voice. "Don't be afraid. After you get used to it a few times, it'll feel very comfortable." Ren Chuan was surprised in his heart. Can getting a needle actually feel comfortable? In order to let the person he liked live for 2 more days, the great CEO Jiang Heng had his assistant rush over some state banquet-level pork liver congee. Ren Chuan blissfully finished the heartwarming congee, but Jiang Heng insisted on watching over him during his 4-drip. Ren Chuan tried to think of every reason to refuse, but he couldn't find any and could only resign himself to his fate. You can watch for free on UC browser. After a short while, Cui Mingho walked into the room holding a work notebook, looking very serious. He told Ren Xuan that he needed 4 bags today and would need them continuously for a month. Ren Xuan was immediately terrified. Do they really think I'm water-injected pork? But when he retorted, Cui Mingho used the excuse that the cancer cells were spreading and affecting his brain and added another bag. Ren Xuan felt like killing someone. But because of Jiang Heng, he could only explain nicely that his condition wasn't that serious and he could have less. But Cui Mingho, with a devilish look on his face, told Ren Xuan that he had to listen to the doctor for everything, while internally he was happily cursing, "You little brat, I'll let you fake your illness. I'll let you have your fill of faking it." Ren Xuan clenched his fists in anger, tears streaming down his face, but he didn't dare to refute. He cursed furiously in his heart. "Damn you, Cui Lao." Jiang Heng, at the side, thought Ren Xuan was so upset because he was afraid of the pain. He quickly comforted him. "You're so sick. You have to listen to the doctor. Be good and live a couple more days." After Jiang Heng finished speaking, Cui Mingho also nodded in agreement. Then, stroking his chin leisurely, he said, "Your veins have a very good shape. They're very suitable as a teaching tool. While getting treatment, you can also contribute to the hospital. You wouldn't mind, would you?" Ren Xuan nearly ground his back molars to dust. This bastard is definitely doing it on purpose. Jiang Heng, while calming the agitated Ren Xuan, said worriedly, "Chuaner is afraid of pain. Let's find someone experienced." Who would have thought that Cui Mingho, looking pleased as punch, would proudly state, "I am a professional oncologist. I naturally know what I'm doing." Ren Xuan was so angry that a national expletive almost slipped out. He hadn't finished cursing Cui Mingho when he suddenly caught sight of Jiang Heng beside him. Oh crap, he immediately changed his tune. "Dr. Cui, you are truly beautiful and kind-hearted. When I'm discharged, I'll definitely send you a silk banner." Cui Mingao. How could he not hear the murderous tone in Ren Xuan's voice? "But you're the one who fell into my hands." He then patted Ren Xuan's shoulder. "I'll be waiting for your silk banner, but you have to work hard to stay alive." And so, Ren Xuan was set up by Cui Mingho and became a test subject. A new, young nurse stood by the bed, holding a syringe and trembling. Seeing her trembling appearance made Ren Xuan's heart tremble. "Big sis, I'm begging you, please get a grip." Seeing the nurse hesitating to start, Cui Mingho spoke up, urging, "Hurry up. The patient can't wait." This urging made the young nurse even more nervous. She slapped the back of his hand repeatedly, pat, 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 stammering that she was looking for a vein. Ren Xuan looked at the back of his hand, which had been slapped red, and forced himself to act calm, telling the nurse to take her time. In reality, he was panicking like hell. As a result, the nurse slapped for a good 10 minutes, but still couldn't find a vein. At this point, Ren Xuan wasn't so panicked anymore. His hand was slapped numb anyway, so he couldn't feel the pain. It would be nice to just lie flat and achieve nirvana on the spot. After another 10 minutes, the young nurse started crying. "The veins in this hand are too thin. How about we switch to the other one?" Cui Mingho, however, wasn't angry at all. He even comforted the young nurse. "Don't be nervous. Both hands need to be pricked anyway. Otherwise, with 5 bags, he'll be on the drip until midnight." Ren Xuan clenched his fists and tried hard to console himself. This is a contribution to medical science. Don't be angry. Jiang Heng, behind him, thought Ren Xuan's illness was very serious, which was why they couldn't find a vein. Hearing that they had to prick him again, he quickly went forward and covered Ren Xuan's eyes, saying softly, "Don't be afraid. I'm here." Ren Xuan pulled down Jiang Heng's hand. His face was full of emotion. "It's so good to have you here. I feel much braver." But in his heart, he was thinking, how can Jiang Heng be so heartwarming? He's so handsome and ridiculously considerate. He's really perfect to marry and take home as a wife. Just as the two were having a sweet, tender moment, the young nurse's excited voice suddenly rang out, "I found it. Great. I knew I could do it." Ren Xuan looked at the back of his swollen hand, then at the long needle in the nurse's hand, and his body instinctively stiffened. How did this nurse even graduate? In a flash, the nurse's needle plunged into the swollen skin with a poochie sound. Ren Xuan cried out in pain. Cui Mingho stood to the side with a wicked expression and said, "It's crooked." The needle went in too deep. "Do it again." Ren Xuan's hand hung limply as he howled in pain. Are you sure this person didn't graduate through connections? Ren Xuan was still reeling from the sharp pain of the needle prick when the nurse fiercely pulled the needle out again. Ren Xuan felt like he was going to die by this nurse's needle. Who let this person graduate? Kill him. Suddenly, with another poochie sound, the needle tip entered the flesh. Cui Mingho said it was wrong again. This went on several times. Finally, she got it right. Cui Mingho went over ruler and pulled it out again, saying it really is crooked. Then he demonstrated for the young nurse. Look, like this. It's very simple. The young nurse nodded, full of confidence. As expected of Dr. Chui. A perfect shot every time. Don't worry, I'll definitely get it right this time. As she spoke, a wicked smile appeared on Chui Mingho's lips, and he pulled out the correctly inserted needle again. Fei and Xuan's Hamblu. These two are putting on a show, aren't they? But Ren Xuan had been tortured to the point where he had no energy left to curse. He could only mutter a few complaints in his heart. Next, Ren Xuan felt like he was going in and out of the gates of hell. The young nurse actually tried more than 10 times before she finally found the vein. Although this ignited the young nurse's fighting spirit, Ren Xuan was suffering. Why did no one care about his feelings? And Chui Mingho had no intention of letting him off, telling the young nurse with a smile, "There's still the other hand. Keep it up." Hearing that there was more, the half-dead Ren Xuan immediately said he chose to be cremated on the spot. This doctor is also wickedly sly. He directly found a nurse, even dumber than a village idiot, to give Ren Xuan the needle. He almost sent Ren Xuan on his journey to the west. Finally, after experiencing the 81 tribulations, the nurse successfully inserted all the 4 drips. Ren Xuan, with 4 lines in both hands, looked defeated, having lost the high spirits he had when he first entered the hospital. Jiang Heng's expression grew solemn. Chuaner's illness is too serious. He needs so many 4 drips at the same time. Jiang Heng stood by the bed for a long time, not knowing what to say. So he asked Ren Xuan, "Didn't you say you cry when you get needles?" Ren Xuan looked at Jiang Heng, his face flushed red with shyness. "It's because you were by my side that I overcame my fear. You are my good medicine. You're my muse." This green tea bitch speech almost made Ren Xuan himself want to puke. Ren Xuan's entire focus had been on the nurse's hands. He had completely forgotten about his crying act. Hearing that he had been such a great help to Ren Xuan, Jiang Heng happily said he would come every day from now on. Ren Xuan could only suffer in silence. "Oh, for goodness sake, please don't come every day. That young nurse isn't just ordinarily stupid. 2 more days of her pricking me, and this hospital room will turn into a morgue." During the 4 drip, Ren Xuan told Jiang Heng he was bored. Jiang Heng took out a book on animal husbandry and said he could read it aloud while he read. Ren Xuan was surprised. "Are you changing careers to raise pigs?" Jiang Heng shook his head and casually mentioned many things related to technology, industry, and capital. Then he saw Ren Xuan's surprised look and immediately felt, oh no, he had forgotten to maintain his poor person persona. So he cleared his throat twice and explained that he was studying at an adult university. "I want to get a degree in international livestock trade." Ren Xuan immediately said he also wanted to study logistics. "You can watch for free on UC browser." So they immediately made a pact to live on together and take the exams together. Have you ever seen someone with 4 drips in both hands at the same time? The great CEO is this unlucky fellow. Because he was faking his illness, his friend went hard on him. He prescribed 6 bottles of glucose at once, basically treating the great CEO like water-injected beef. 2 hours later, Ren Xuan was holding it in so badly that he gently picked up the large bottle. The fluid from the large bags was pouring directly into his body. If he didn't open the floodgates soon, his bladder would explode. Ren Xuan trembled, looking at the person studying seriously beside him. A late-stage cancer patient, and he's still studying so hard for his exams. If I disturb him just because I need to take a leak, wouldn't that be a terrible sin? But Ren Xuan really couldn't hold it in any longer. Just as the boiling water was about to burst through the gates, Jiang Heng suddenly looked over. "Need to go to the bathroom?" Fei Xuan nodded frantically. He was finally rescued from the brink of death by peeing. Jiang Heng quickly put down his book and held the 4 stand for Ren Xuan. "Let's go. I'll go to the bathroom with you." So Ren Xuan, clamping his legs together, limped along behind Jiang Heng. The 4 tube between them looked just like a dog leash, and Ren Xuan looked just like a little poodle on Jiang Heng's leash. However, Ren Xuan probably didn't mind being collared by Jiang Heng and being his one and only little poodle. When they got to the bathroom, Jiang Heng thoughtfully waited outside. But Ren Xuan was in a bind. Both of his hands were so weak from the nurse's pricking that he couldn't even pull down his pants. Jiang Heng, outside, noticed Ren Xuan wasn't doing anything and thoughtfully said he could help. "Are you kidding? How can you help with something like this?" Rin Chuan quickly said that he suddenly didn't need to go anymore. But Jiang Hung ignored him, walked into the bathroom, and put his hand directly on his waistband. Holding it in is bad for your bladder. I helped my little brother pee until he was 15. I'm an expert at this. After saying this, he was about to help Rin Chuan pull down his pants. Rin Chuan was so embarrassed the tips of his ears turned red. He backed away, saying he didn't want to go to the bathroom. Suddenly, his pants were pulled down with a swish. Rin Chuan only felt a cool breeze sweep across his butt. Jiang Hung held his pants with one hand and that thing with the other, not seeming awkward at all. He even seriously started whistling a PP tune in Rin Chuan's ear. Rin Chuan screamed in his heart, "Let a heavenly thunderbolt strike me dead. I want to transcend this mortal coil. I want to be replanted in the soil and grow again." Afterward, Jiang Hung carefully helped Rin Chuan pull his pants back up. Seeing Rin Chuan's flushed face, he smiled comfortingly. It just tilted a bit, didn't it? This shows your function is normal. As soon as he said this, Rin Chuan's gaze immediately shifted to Jiang Hung's lower body. He asked curiously, "What about yours?" Jiang Hung quickly backed away, telling Rin Chuan to stop his wild thoughts. "My function is perfectly normal." Then, as if remembering something, he covered his mouth and whispered, "My function isn't as good as it used to be either. I measured it the other day. It shrunk by 3 centimeters. After Jiang Hung finished, Rin Chuan also started putting on an act. He sighed and said, "My body has been affected by the cancer cells. Now it's just an enoki mushroom. You can watch for free on UC browser. I say, you two great CEOs. Other people compete over who's longer, but you two are competing over who's more like an enoki mushroom. Does Whisper make diapers now?" Jiang Hung took Rin Chuan to the bathroom. When they came out, their relationship had subtly changed. First, they discussed whether their functions were not as good as before. Then they even brought up length. Jiang Hung said it had shortened by 3 centimeters compared to before. After chatting about length and girth, the two grown men started talking about diapers. Jiang Hung got more and more excited as he spoke, leaving Rin Chuan completely baffled. In order not to arouse suspicion, he told Jiang Hung that he uses Whisper brand diapers. Not only do they prevent side leakage, but their absorbency is also super strong. Jiang Hung was stunned. Doesn't Whisper only make sanitary pads? Rin Chuan explained with an awkward laugh that Whisper actually makes diapers too. After saying this, he even strongly recommended them to Jiang Hung. But inwardly, he was sighing that he had spoken too quickly again. You can watch for free on UC browser. Jiang Hung nodded, then said he had always used the Watson's brand. Rin Chuan lowered his eyes. "That's so expensive. I don't really dare to go in there." Jiang Hung immediately thought of Rin Chuan's job. Watson's would indeed be quite expensive for Chuaner. He then scratched his head and explained that he didn't use them often either and only stocked up when there was a sale. When Rin Chuan heard sale, he immediately got excited. He clamored that he would go on a spending spree at Watson's tomorrow and buy out the entire store. Jiang Hung asked Rin Chuan, stunned, "Where does a delivery driver get that much money?" Rin Chuan immediately wanted to give himself 2 big slaps. His habit of bragging was incurable. He hurriedly explained that the delivery company gives outstanding employees a Watson's membership card, and it has points and stuff. Hearing this, Jiang Hung shamelessly and shyly asked Rin Chuan if he could use it. "I want to buy some facial cleanser and stuff." This really moved Jiang Hung. Chuaner's income is so low, yet he's still so generous to me. So the two agreed to go to Watson's tomorrow to buy diapers. And they were going to buy the cheapest diapers in history to fleece the capitalists completely. Suddenly, it felt like both of their cancer cells had moved to their brains. Online relationship meets real life, and it's a disaster. This day, after Zhong Yin finished his work, he received an invitation from his online love interest, Meng Chun. After dating online for so long, this was their first time meeting offline. Zhong Yin was incredibly excited. He immediately sent a cute emoji. Meng Chun, dressed in a sharp suit, was exceptionally charming. "Hello, it's a pleasure to meet you for the first time." You could tell that Zhong Yin had also put a lot of thought into his outfit today. The two had been chatting online for half a year, and today was their first meeting. Meng Chun's image and looks all met Zhong Yin's expectations. And you could also see how much effort Meng Chun put into this meeting. He even chose such a high-end hotel. And Meng Chun was also exceptionally satisfied with his online love interest. This gentle appearance is truly beautiful. So, after exchanging pleasantries, they started asking about each other's jobs. Meng Chun asked Zhong Yin what he did for work. Zhong Yin said he was just an employee, but my boss has been hospitalized recently, so I'm relatively free. Meng Chun, who was eating, paused. What a coincidence. Your boss is hospitalized too? Zhong Yin didn't answer Meng Chun's question. Instead, he stood up. He gently wiped the sauce from the corner of Meng Chun's mouth. After wiping it, he even brought the sauce-stained finger to his own lips and licked it. This blatant seduction was simply intoxicating. Meng Chun dropped his chopsticks and leaned closer to Zhong Yin, whispering, I've been reading a book about happiness and bliss recently. Are you interested in studying it together later? The wonderful, ambiguous atmosphere in the private room was growing. It looked like they would soon be able to study that profound book together. Suddenly, Meng Chun's phone screamed, Boss, cremation. Boss, cremation. Meng Chun quickly silenced his phone. Zhong Yin chuckled and said, that's a very special ringtone. Meng Chun was mortified. It's something my pet parrot learned from who knows where. So he apologized to Zhong Yin, stepped out of the room, and answered the call. An urgent voice came from the other end of the line. Help me buy a pack of Watson's diapers. I don't care if they sold them before or not. They sell them now, and you must give me a pack. Meng Chun felt bitter. The boss was having another episode. Tonight's date was ruined. Just as Meng Chun was thinking about how to explain, Zhong Yin's phone also rang. As soon as he answered, a voice demanding diapers came through. Zhong Yin wanted to curse. My damn date. You can watch for free on UC browser. Meng Chun could see that Zhong Yin also had work to do, so he said reluctantly, it seems we won't be able to spend this wonderful night together. This is my private contact information. I really like you. I'll ask you out for dinner another day. I had a great time tonight. I look forward to seeing you next time. Meng Chun had finally managed to ask out his online love of half a year for dinner, only for it to be ruined because his boss wanted to buy diapers. The date could only end there. Meng Chun reluctantly confessed his feelings to Zhong Yin and said he was looking forward to their next meeting, only to turn around and meet again in the hygiene products aisle. What damn fate is this? Couldn't they have a chance encounter somewhere else? Zhong Yin quickly said he was buying them for an elderly person at home. Meng Chun also anxiously explained that he was buying them to donate to a nursing home. The two spoke at almost the same time. Then they both laughed awkwardly. Meng Chun asked Zhong Yin where to find Whisper brand diapers. Zhong Yin whispered that he thought Whisper only made sanitary pads. At this moment, both of them just wanted to take a knife and kill their respective bosses. Damn cancer-brained idiots, coming up with one crazy idea after another. Meng Chun was so angry he almost cracked his phone screen. I suggest you check into the psychiatric ward and get a good checkup. After being threatened in some way, Meng Chun could only say meekly, they have diapers. In the hospital, Rin Chuan picked out a flashy purple shirt, put on makeup, and started striking poses in front of the mirror, endlessly complimenting himself. Today's outfit is not only youthful, but also mature and handsome without being slutty. Women will scream when they see me, and bottoms will go weak in the knees. Little did he know, he was the bottom. Rin Chuan, all dressed up, happily went to Jiang Heng's room. He pushed open the door. Are you ready? He even deliberately twisted his body, screaming internally, praise me, quick, praise me a little. Who would have thought that in the next second, Jiang Heng would take out a Santa Claus costume and wrap Rin Chuan up tightly in it. Rin Chuan's smugness vanished in a second. Before Rin Chuan could react, Jiang Heng looked around like a spy and said, I'll go distract the security guards first. You take the chance to sneak out. Rin Chuan was a bit speechless. Has this man watched too many spy movies? He then took off his mask and hat, walked up, and pulled off Jiang Heng's mask, his face serious. You're making it seem like we're a couple of thieves. This is a hospital, not a concentration camp. After speaking, he grabbed Jiang Heng's hand and strode out of the hospital. Jiang Heng looked at his tightly held wrist, and his face actually began to flush slightly. This sweet feeling seemed to be blooming from his heart. Outside the hospital, Rin Chuan looked at Jiang Heng, who was as happy as a child and couldn't help but laugh. Jiang Heng turned around. What are you laughing at? Rin Chuan covered his mouth, not hiding his amusement. It's the first time I've seen you like this. You usually have such a straight face, and I'm very happy when I'm with you. And so, the two began their first date. But they took a taxi and were thrown out halfway by the driver. It was nothing major. It's just that as soon as they got in the car, they started arguing over which brand of diaper was better. Then they got into a big fight over the fare. The driver got a headache from their bickering and eventually chose to dump them and drive off. So the two, forced to walk, were both filled with visible regret. In truth, both of them were worried about the other's financial situation and didn't want the fare to be a burden. Rinchuan put his hand on Jiang Heng's shoulder and said with extra seriousness, "I have money." Who would have thought that Jiang Heng would say the exact same thing at the same time? Then he looked at Rinchuan, full of question marks. "How much can a delivery driver make in a month?" Rinchuan said guiltily, "For 5,000, I guess." Jiang Heng was taken aback. "Is the income for delivery so high?" Rinchuan quickly explained that you can only make that much during the peak season. After hearing this, Jiang Heng said, "My bonus plus salary is over 6,000, higher than yours." The two, who knew nothing about the delivery business, were thus fooled by each other. You can watch for free on UC browser. To appease Jiang Heng, Rinchuan said happily, "Since you earn more than me, you can pay the fare on the way back." When Jiang Heng heard that Rinchuan was willing to use his money, the reluctance on his face immediately disappeared. As expected, to see if a man loves you, you have to see if he's willing to spend money on you. After placating his angry husband, Jiang Heng took Rinchuan to his own territory. At this time, a sales lady enthusiastically introduced a newly launched diaper to Rinchuan. When Rinchuan heard that one pack cost 20 big ones, he immediately wanted to drag Jiang Heng to Wanda to buy them. Jiang Heng quickly gave the sales lady a look. The sales lady froze for 3 seconds after receiving Jiang Heng's look, then finally reacted, shouting happily that the diapers in the store were on sale. Buy one, get one free. But Rinchuan said disapprovingly, "Buy one, get one free is still expensive." Jiang Heng quickly gave the lady another look. The lady chuckled and said she made a mistake. "It's buy one pack, get one box free." Afraid that Rinchuan would still think it was expensive, Jiang Heng quickly said, "That's so cheap. Chuana, what size do you wear?" Rinchuan hesitated for a moment and chose large. Jiang Heng said this, but looked doubtfully at Rinchuan's crotch area. Rinchuan shyly turned his head, not daring to look Jiang Heng in the eye. Rinchuan felt that in front of Jiang Heng, he always lacked a bit of top energy. Taking advantage of the buy one pack, get one box free offer, the two took a whole cartful. The sales lady's eyes twitched. "These two pains in the neck, please just leave." Just as she was thinking this, Rinchuan took out his membership card and asked for an additional discount. The sales lady awkwardly said that special price items were not eligible for discounts. Jiang Heng, at the side, coughed a few times. The sales lady quickly changed her tune. "Not only can you get a huge discount, but we'll also give you a few packs of sanitary pads and small gifts." Finally, after a round of bargaining, the two, under the sales lady's awkward yet polite smile, lovingly hugged and cuddled their way to Chuaner's territory to wreak havoc. Originally, Jiang Heng didn't want to go, but when he heard Rinchuan say he couldn't sleep without wearing Whisper, he immediately agreed. He thought to himself, "As long as you live, Chuaner, I'll buy out the entire Whisper company just to produce for you alone." The sales lady behind them had a look of horror. "Whisper makes diapers. How come I've never heard of that?" When the two arrived at Wanda Plaza, rows of salespeople were already standing enthusiastically at the entrance. Seeing Rinchuan, they all shouted in unison, "Welcome, President Ren." Rinchuan was startled and quickly explained to Jiang Heng that because he came here often, they all called him President Ren. Jiang Heng surprisingly didn't doubt it, and even said it was no wonder Rinchuan had so many points on his card. Then Rinchuan guiltily hid behind Jiang Heng. The salespeople here were very enthusiastic. They introduced a whole bunch of products to Jiang Heng, and after listening, Jiang Heng asked Rinchuan, "Should we buy it?" Rinchuan guiltily asked the salesperson, "Is there a discount?" After speaking, he coughed twice. The salesperson understood in a second. With a beaming face, she told Jiang Heng buy one, get 10 free. Rinchuan behind him was shocked. Is this salesperson a spy? Seeing that Jiang Heng didn't believe it, Rinchuan quickly coughed twice again. The salesperson casually pulled out a diaper and wiped her tears. Because the boss ate rat poison by mistake, the factory went bankrupt. Now we're having a clearance sale. You can watch for free on UC browser. Rinchuan awkwardly stopped the salesperson's sob story and told him to grab 10 packs. Mainly because if he didn't stop him, Rin Chuan was afraid the salesperson would drag out all 18 generations of his ancestors. The lady's face changed instantly. She said brightly, 10 packs get you 100 packs free. You can pay over here. If it's inconvenient, we can also deliver. Jiang Hung looked at the enthusiastic salesperson behind him and asked a soul-searching question. I also go to Oshana shop all the time. Why don't they call me President Jiang? The two grown men fleeced piles of diapers from each other's territory. In the end, Jiang Hung was still puzzled. Why was the service here so good? Was it just because he was a frequent customer that they affectionately called him President Rin? Watch for free on Core Browser. Just search for it. Don't add manga or novel. The first result is the one. Rin Chuan quickly interrupted Jiang Heng's wild thoughts. I delivered for that roast duck place before. Want to go try it? Jiang Hung was full of questions. Can cancer patients eat roast duck? Rin Chuan, with one hand behind his back, frantically typed, while his mouth smiled and said, we can ask my attending physician. So Rin Chuan immediately dialed him. Chui Mingho's furious voice came through. You can. Duck is good for the stomach. Hearing that duck was good for the stomach, Jiang Hung put his arm around Rin Chuan and said, you like duck? When I have the chance, I'll personally make you a duck. The two arrived at the duck restaurant and spent a long time trying to choose. The waiter's face had turned black. Does it really take an hour to choose a duck? Rin Chuan hooked his arm around Jiang Heng's neck and whispered, this is a bit expensive. I just wanted to satisfy a craving. Then Rin Chuan asked the waiter, can we pick a duck ourselves? The waiter had never encountered a customer with such a request before and said awkwardly, it's a national standard. You can't choose. Jiang Hung shot up and threw down the menu. Does your duck drink Evian water or get 24-hour private massages? Why can't we pick one? The waiter couldn't take it anymore. With a fierce look, he said, sirs, we make ducks. We don't sell ducks. If you want to pick one, go to the market. Jiang Hung, who had been so tough just a moment ago, was now hugging Rin Chuan and trembling, and was then kicked out the door. Jiang Hung said to Rin Chuan with a serious face, next time, I'll cook for you. I'm best at making duck. After speaking, Jiang Hung took a pack of Fuchunchen cigarettes from his pocket and asked Rin Chuan if he wanted one. Rin Chuan raised an eyebrow slightly. Don't you have liver cancer? Can you smoke? Jiang Hung suddenly realized. The hand holding the cigarettes trembled unconsciously a couple of times. He forced himself to look calm and said it was a subconscious action after getting angry. Actually, I quit a long time ago. I bought these to offer to clients and bosses. Rin Chuan looked at the name on the cigarette pack and had an internal question. Fuchunchen, 8,000 a carton, isn't it? Jiang Hung cursed inwardly, fuck. Chuan even knows about this. So he quickly threw the cigarettes into the trash can. He turned around and said embarrassedly, they're fake, just for show. Rin Chuan said happily, smoking fakes is bad for you. I'll give you 2 real cartons later. Fuchunchen ba, he suddenly paused here. Then he continued, the substitute for real Fuchunchen, Hongtishen. They're both scenic spots anyway. After saying this, Rin Chuan sighed inwardly. He almost let it slip. And so, the two broke-ass CEOs wandered around the mall, circle after circle. Either one thought something was too expensive, or the other did. Finally, they wandered to the entrance of an ice cream shop. Jiang Hung asked with concern, can someone with stomach cancer eat ice cream? Rin Chuan took out his phone to ask his attending physician. The first thing Chui Mingho said after answering the call was, what do you want to eat now? Rin Chuan gave a dry laugh. Can someone with stomach cancer eat ice cream? Chui Mingho on the phone was full of anger. Yes, milk is good for the stomach. Bananas help with bowel movements. Strawberries boost immunity. Jiang Hung was skeptical, but when he heard Rin Chuan say his attending physician had a PhD, he believed it. He even thought to himself, next time I have a cold, I should eat more strawberry ice cream to boost my immunity. When Rin Chuan heard that one ice cream cost 30 yuan, he suddenly said he didn't want it anymore. Jiang Hung quickly said he had a buy one get one free coupon. Seeing Rin Chuan was still hesitating, Jiang Hung reached out and adjusted Rin Chuan's scarf. He said affectionately, Chuan, live a couple more days. I'll buy you whatever you want to eat. The sudden closeness and confession made Rin Chuan's face flush and his heart race. The server behind them, holding 2 ice creams, had a grim expression. He thought, are they here to buy ice cream or to show off their affection? I've been holding these for 10 minutes. The 2 men finished buying diapers in bulk, then wandered the mall all day, finding everything too expensive. In the end, they bought 2 ice creams. As a result, the young man selling the ice cream was forced to watch a mouthful of their PDA. On the way, Rin Chuan looked at the ice cream in his hand, fussing that it would be a shame to throw it away if he couldn't finish it. Suddenly, Jiang Hung bent down grabbed Rin Chuan's hand, and licked it. He said nonchalantly, "This strawberry ice cream is too sweet and too cold. You shouldn't eat it." Rin Chuan felt the warmth on the back of his hand, his heart pounding wildly. For a moment, he didn't know what to say, letting Jiang Heng lick the ice cream from his hand. At that moment, Rin Chuan wished they could just keep walking like this and not go back to the hospital. Suddenly, a men's clothing store appeared before them. Rin Chuan happily said to Jiang Heng, "You bought me ice cream. Let me buy you clothes." Jiang Heng shook his head and refused, saying with concern, "That brand is very expensive. You work hard for your money." Rin Chuan knew Jiang Heng was feeling sorry for him. He immediately took his hand and walked straight into the clothing store. Jiang Heng looked at their tightly held hands, feeling a strange flutter in his heart that made his cheeks turn red. Inside the store, Jiang Heng would first check the price of every piece of clothing he picked up, constantly worrying if Chuaner could afford it. Whenever Rin Chuan asked if he liked something, Jiang Heng would bluntly say he didn't. Rin Chuan directly picked up the clothes Jiang Heng had looked at and pushed him into the fitting room. He even comforted Jiang Heng, saying, "Money is just a worldly possession. If you spend it, you can just earn it back." But in his heart, he was saying, "As long as you like it, I'll buy this whole store for you." In the end, unable to win the argument with Rin Chuan, Jiang Heng could only take the clothes and walk into the fitting room. He put down the clothes, looked at himself in the mirror, and was still devastatingly handsome. When he came out, Jiang Heng had already taken off the shirt. He told Rin Chuan it didn't fit well. Rin Chuan didn't believe this doesn't fit excuse. He said angrily, "You have a better body than model. You look good in anything." Suddenly, Jiang Heng stepped forward, wrapped his arm around Rin Chuan's waist, and said softly, "It's too expensive. I can't bear to let you spend so much money." The chattering Rin Chuan instantly shut his mouth. He shyly scratched his head. "As long as it's for you, it's not expensive at all." Jiang Heng was stunned for a few seconds, then walked to the cheapest t-shirt section. "I like this style." After speaking, he picked up an old man's tank top and said gleefully to Rin Chuan, "This tank top is a must-have item for celebrities. You can wear it as an outer layer or an inner layer." Rin Chuan's jaw almost dropped. "I wanted to buy you nice clothes, but you chose the worst kind of street stall junk." Jiang Heng saw that Rin Chuan wasn't very satisfied and quickly pulled him along to try on clothes together. Then, in front of Rin Chuan, he took off his clothes. Rin Chuan, standing behind him, saw his solid and well-built figure, and his head immediately turned into a steam engine. Jiang Heng finished changing and turned around, asking happily, "Does it fit?" Who would have thought that Rin Chuan, staring at his heaving chest, would get a nosebleed that gushed for miles? "It fits. It couldn't possibly fit any better, okay?" When Jiang Heng saw Rin Chuan's nosebleed, he thought Rin Chuan was having a medical episode. He anxiously yelled that they should hurry back to the hospital. Only then did Rin Chuan realize his gaffe. He quickly wiped away the blood and explained to Jiang Heng that he had just picked his nose and might have broken the nasal membrane. Only then did Jiang Heng relax. With his nose still bleeding, Rin Chuan found a server to pay. Hearing that it was only 50 yuan after the discount, he immediately took out his gold card and said he wanted 10 pieces. The server thought, "I met a big client today." Suddenly, Jiang Heng's voice sounded from behind. Rin Chuan was so scared he quickly put his gold card away. He told the server he only wanted one. The server went to get the clothes with a dark face. Rin Chuan turned around and saw the cross necklace Jiang Heng was wearing. It looked like a limited edition from Chanel. Jiang Heng quickly said it was from a group purchase. 9.9 yuan for 3, free shipping. "If you like it, I'll give it to you." Rin Chuan nodded, but thought to himself, "When I get back, I'll get the authentic one I have at home and give it to him. Then he'll have another one of my things on him." Seeing Rin Chuan nod, Jiang Heng immediately took it off and put on Rin Chuan himself. What was with all these pink love hearts? Rin Chuan was stunned for a few seconds, then said to Jiang Heng, "When I get back, I'll buy a high-quality replica and give it to you." Jiang Heng ruffled Rin Chuan's hair, his face full of tenderness. "As long as it's from you, I'll like it. Is your partner checking up on you?" Jiang Heng heard Rin Chuan's phone buzzing constantly and thought his partner was checking in. Rin Chuan looked at the streams of blind date text messages. "Didn't I tell Meng Chun to block these blind dates?" Hearing Jiang Heng's words, Rin Chuan was suddenly filled with a sense of superiority. Looking at his phone, he blurted out, "I'm single. I'm too outstanding, so I don't know who to choose." Just as he finished speaking, he heard Jiang Heng's question from behind him. Rin Chuan's hand trembled. "Damn it, how could I forget where I am?" He quickly laughed and explained, "It's not that I'm too outstanding, it's that the people around me are too outstanding, I don't know who to suck up to." Jiang Hung patted Ren Chuan's shoulder. "You're also very outstanding." Hearing Jiang Hung say this, Ren Chuan felt a small sense of pride in his heart. He then asked Jiang Hung if he was single. Jiang Hung propped up his head and asked back smugly, "I have terminal cancer. What do you think?" Hearing Jiang Hung say this, Ren Chuan was sure he must be single. So Ren Chuan said to Jiang Hung, "Since it's terminal, you should find someone to spend the rest of your life with. That way you won't have to worry about holding someone back. You can find a matching one. The kind where when you die, he dies too. Then you can be buried together. You'd even save money on the coffin." After hearing Ren Chuan's words, Jiang Hung lowered his head and pondered for a moment. He suddenly felt that what Ren Chuan said made a lot of sense. Meanwhile, Ren Chuan had a look of self-recommendation on his face, shouting in his heart, "Look at me, I'm a matching one." Suddenly, Jiang Hung had a look of sudden enlightenment. No wonder the old lady in the next ward is always smiling at me. So that's what she was thinking. Ren Chuan sat beside him, speechless. The two returned to the hospital late at night. They had planned to sneak back to their rooms, but the moment they stepped out, they were caught by the formidable nurse. She then gave them a rapid-fire lecture. The two of them didn't even have a chance to say a word. Finally, Ren Chuan said pitifully, "My diaper leaked." Jiang Hung used the excuse that Chuaner couldn't change it well by himself and needed help, and they quickly slipped away. The two of them ran into the bathroom and finally breathed a sigh of relief. Suddenly, Jiang Hung picked up Ren Chuan, wanting to help him change his diaper. Ren Chuan desperately held onto his pants, his face flushed red with embarrassment, saying he not only peed, but also pooped. "It stinks. I'm afraid it'll smell." Realizing Jiang Hang's hands didn't seem to be stopping, Ren Chuan's heart skipped a beat. He quickly pushed at Jiang Hung, stammering that he hadn't actually soiled himself. It was all a lie to trick the nurse. Jiang Hung smiled and nodded, indicating he wouldn't tell anyone. But in his heart, he thought, he clearly did leak. It's not like I mind. Ren Chuan scurried into a stall, telling Jiang Hung to go back to sleep first as he needed to take a dump. After Jiang Hung went back, he snuggled under the covers and searched for what to do about incontinence. He saw that Kegel exercises could help the condition. He quickly searched for how to do Kegel exercises. A short while later, all sorts of strange sounds came from Ren Chuan's room. Contract. Relax. Relax. Don't be nervous. Don't tense your body. Ren Chuan had just returned to his room from the bathroom when he was caught by Jiang Hung and told to do Kegel exercises. Ren Chuan was completely bewildered. He was only gone for the time it took to use the bathroom. What was this situation? Unable to refuse, a series of suggestive scenes unfolded. Squat down and find the feeling of taking a dump. Ren Chuan, who had just finished using the bathroom, was pulled by Jiang Hung to do Kegel exercises. Ren Chuan was panting heavily. Jiang Hung was still seriously instructing from the side. Ren Chuan felt so exhausted. He always felt like he had stumbled onto the set of a porn film. After finishing the first set, Jiang Hung told Ren Chuan to get on the bed for the second set. When he heard Jiang Hung describe the position for the second set, Ren Chuan revealed a horrified expression. "Although I want to get you in a bed, it's not like this." Although Ren Chuan was extremely shy, he still did as Jiang Hung said. He obediently lay prone on the bed and stuck his butt up. Jiang Hung also climbed onto the bed, using his legs to hold Ren Chuan's raised but in place, while seriously telling Ren Chuan to lift it higher. Ren Chuan screamed at his heart, I'm atop. My goodness, what on earth am I doing?" But after Jiang Hung finished one move, he immediately continued with another. Jiang Hung also said it was a full set and had to be completed. Ren Chuan gave a dark laugh and told Jiang Hung to put on a white shirt and a tie, but to leave the top 3 buttons undone. That would be more stimulating. Just as he finished speaking, Jiang Hung forcefully pulled Ren Chuan's thighs apart. He also gave Ren Chuan's but a slap. Pain Xuan complained pitifully. Jiang Hung asked Ren Chuan, "Do I need a ticket to touch you?" Ren Chuan struggled to get up. "No, but you have to let me touch you back." Suddenly, Jiang Hung pushed Ren Chuan back down with a whoosh. He said fiercely, "Stop moving around. What if you become incontinent again?" Pinned down, Ren Chuan wailed, yelling coquettishly, "Let me touch you, just one touch." After yelling, Rin Chuan suddenly came to his senses. Was I being too dramatic just now? I'm a top. Realizing his gaffe, he turned his head and quietly asked Jiang Hung to let go. But Jiang Hung started a push-pull motion with Rin Chuan, asking smugly, "Still want to touch me?" Rin Chuan, who was clearly subdued, was speechless. Then he was pressed directly onto the bed. Rin Chuan asked angrily, "Do you really have terminal liver cancer? How can you be so strong?" Jiang Hung said shamelessly, "Even if I were lying flat in the morgue, I'd have no problem handling you." After speaking, he happily pulled Rin Chuan up, took a comb, and seriously began to comb Rin Chuan's messy hair. Jiang Hung gently flicked Rin Chuan's head. "You're the second person I've ever combed hair for." Rin Chuan wasn't very happy after hearing this. Instead, he asked Jiang Hung jealously who the first person was. Jiang Hung had tossed and turned Rin Chuan on the bed for quite a while, trying out all sorts of positions and tricks. The great CEO, who was always determined to be the top, had never managed to get on top. After they had fooled around enough, Jiang Hung picked up the comb and carefully tidied Rin Chuan's messy hair. Hearing Jiang Hung say he was the second person, Rin Chuan immediately became a little jealous. He asked Jiang Hung who the first person was. When he heard Jiang Hung say the first person was his younger brother, a smile immediately appeared on Rin Chuan's face. Then Rin Chuan asked why Jiang Hung's brother hadn't come to visit. Jiang Hung said with a lonely expression, "He can't come." Seeing CEO Jiang's expression, Rin Chuan thought the person had passed away. He immediately apologized, saying he didn't mean to ask. Who would have thought that CEO Jiang, holding a steaming cup of water, would happily say there was no need for condolences? He's in his last year of high school, with a mountain of homework every day. How could he escape? Rin Chuan wanted to curse, then don't make an expression like someone died. But Jiang Hung said, "Aren't high school seniors a socially dead group?" It seemed impossible to refute that statement. Then Rin Chuan asked Jiang Hung, "How come I don't see your family here taking care of you?" Jiang Hung frowned and said his family were all farmers in the countryside. He didn't tell them because he was afraid of worrying them. In reality, Jiang Heng's father was traveling the world, and his mother was building the Great Wall at the mahjong table every day. After Jiang Hung talked about his family, he asked Rin Chuan why no one visited him. Rin Chuan said calmly that he grew up without a mother. As for his dad, it was the same as not having one. He had always been drifting alone and was used to it. Hearing this, Jiang Heng's heart ached for him. He immediately patted his chest and said, "Let me take care of you from now on." Rin Chuan was feeling smug inside. It seems the self-pity trick works well. Just as he thought that, Jiang Hung pulled Rin Chuan into his arms and said while crying, "Please let me take care of you like a real older brother from the same parents." Rin Chuan was speechless. Can this man's brain work normally? So exhausting. The next day, Rin Chuan started his conquest plan again. Early in the morning, he found Jiang Hung and said last night's Kegel exercises were quite effective. We can continue today. Suddenly, a commotion was heard from outside the ward. The two of them walked out of the room to take a look. It turned out someone was causing trouble in the hospital. Jiang Hung, seeing injustice, let out a roar. With a heroic and dashing move, he knocked the few hooligans in front of the ground. The leg sweep made Rin Chuan shout, "Fuck!" With such an agile body, "Are you sure you have terminal liver cancer?" Seeing the other side had many people, Rin Chuan also joined the ranks of the righteous. The two cooperated with tacit understanding, and in no time, they had beaten down all the hooligans. The old doctor hid behind the door, trembling, and couldn't help but marvel in his heart. These two are practically medical miracles of the oncology department. After stretching their muscles, the two, bathed in a holy light, happily put their arms around each other and went to the cafeteria to eat. Rin Chuan asked Jiang Hung where he learned his kung fu. Jiang Hung said his small village wasn't very peaceful, so he learned a few moves from Bruce Lee. After speaking, he asked Rin Chuan where he learned his kung fu. Rin Chuan, while eating, said he learned from Wang Fei Hung. Then, Jiang Hung opened a bottle of want milk and handed it to Rin Chuan, saying, "Next time something like this happens, just hide behind me." Rin Chuan immediately refused. He also said he doesn't drink want milk. Next time something like this happens, hide behind me. Because in Rin Chuan's heart, hiding behind someone in the face of trouble was not what a top would do. It seems Rin Chuan still hadn't accepted reality. Jiang Hung grinned and asked Rin Chuan to call him Big Brother. I said last night I wanted to be your big brother. Ren Chuan fiercely refused, saying, I'm 35, I should be your big brother. Jiang Hung frowned, a little unhappy. Is it bad to be my younger brother? Why do I always get rejected? I want a younger brother since I was little, but my dad brought back a scoundrel instead. His only catchphrase is, bro, give me some money. He even said he wants my company shares after his college entrance exams. Ren Chuan heard company shares. Jiang Hung tilted his head. Sure enough, talking too much leads to slips. He quickly explained, 30 mu of land. You misheard. Ren Chuan stared straight at Jiang Hung and said he hadn't misheard. Jiang Hung couldn't argue. He directly held up one finger. 1 million for you. Eat your food properly. Ren Chuan didn't back down. He slammed the table. 3 million. Leniency to those who confess, severity to those who resist. Then the two began a bidding war against each other, bidding from 1 million up to 10 million. Finally, Ren Chuan angrily roared 1 billion. Is Jiang Heng's cover about to be blown? The two acted righteously and helped the hospital deal with the troublemaking hooligans, and then rushed to the cafeteria for braised beef together. Jiang Hung suddenly mentioned his good-for-nothing younger brother who wanted company shares. Ren Chuan heard this and then offered 3 million for Jiang Hung to confess honestly. So the two haggled, with the price going up to 10 million. Ren Chuan angrily slammed the table and stood up. 100 million. Jiang Hung suddenly stopped raising the price. Instead, he asked Ren Chuan with a sly smile, cash or card? Ren Chuan snorted and said, no card, no cash. I'll burn it for you after you die. Instead of getting angry, Jiang Hung said, factoring in inflation, what if by the time I get to the underworld, a bowl of Granny Meng's soup costs 10 million? If I don't have money to buy the soup then, I'll have to drift alone in the underworld. Hearing Jiang Heng's calm words, Ren Chuan's expression darkened considerably. Their happy interactions these past few days had almost made him forget that he was a dying man. Suddenly, Ren Chuan looked up and pleaded with Jiang Hung, please don't die, okay? Jiang Heng's face turned red. He stammered for a long time without saying a word. Suddenly, Ren Chuan took out his phone and got closer, asking for Jiang Heng's height and weight. Jiang Hung was puzzled. Are you buying me clothes? Ren Chuan didn't answer. His fingers flew across his phone. He was contacting Meng Chun to order a custom-made coffin for Jiang Hung. He then asked Meng Chun if he could get a jade burial suit. He heard that an off-the-shelf one wouldn't fit and it needed to be custom-made. So, Ren Chuan anxiously asked Jiang Hung to also report his lower measurements. Jiang Hung was full of question marks. Are you buying me underwear? I wear a large. Ren Chuan happily noted it down and sent it to Meng Chun. Jiang Hung shyly asked Ren Chuan, are you buying me condoms? But Ren Chuan said mysteriously, what I'm buying is better than that, and it's custom-made to guarantee comfort. Jiang Heng's heart filled with even more anticipation. Something that needs custom measurements and is very comfortable. What could it be? Just thinking about it was exciting and thrilling. The next day, Ren Chuan's childhood friend, Zhu Kaifeng, came to visit. He heard Ren Chuan talk about a perfect bottom's body. His friend was stunned for a moment, then realized Ren Chuan was talking about the office worker with terminal liver cancer next door. So you're going to pursue him? Ren Chuan propped up his head and said he hadn't decided yet. Getting Ren Chuan's confirmation, his friend stuffed a peeled apple into Ren Chuan's mouth and said seriously, you're not suited for relationships, only for hookups. Ren Chuan shook his head and said happily, Jiang Hung is different. This time, I really want to be in a relationship. His friend shrugged. If you like him, then go for it. If he's straight, turn him. If he's already bent, then pounce on him. Just pursue him like you always do. You have plenty of money anyway. Ren Chuan quickly covered his friend's mouth, whispering that his identity was a deliver man. You're here to visit my colleague. Hearing this, his friend immediately offered, do you need me to act as a sugar daddy and bully you so your crush can be the hero saving the damsel in distress? Ren Chuan rolled his eyes. That's my move. Don't copy it. Besides, I'm a top. How could I let someone else save me? Suddenly, there was a knock on the door. Thinking it might be Jiang Hung, Ren Chuan immediately lay down and weakly called out, come in. As it turned out, Chui Mingho pushed the door open and said directly, time for your foredrip. Ren Chuan shot up. Why is it you? I thought it was Jiang. Jiang Heng's head popped out from behind Chui Mingho. Ren Chuan was so scared he almost died on the spot. I just shot up from my deathbed. He He won't get suspicious, will he? Before Rin Chuan could think of an explanation, Chui Mingho, with a young nurse, said cheerfully, "This is the new nurse, Xiaowang. She's experienced with needles. Is it 5 bags today?" Rin Chuan shrank into a ball, suddenly feeling his life was over. Rin Chuan pulled his childhood friend over to plan his conquest of Jiang Heng, with himself as the top. Just as they finished discussing, Jiang Heng walked into the room with Chui Mingho and the young nurse. Rin Chuan looked at the fierce-looking young nurse and felt his days were numbered. Jiang Heng saw that Rin Chuan didn't want the 4 and stepped forward to scold him for not listening to the doctor. At this point, his friend also stepped forward to console him. "Live 2 more days, and you can run 2 more delivery orders." Only then did Jiang Heng notice an unfamiliar face in the room. He quickly asked Zhu Kaifeng, "Who are you?" Zhu Kaifeng said he was also a delivery guy. Jiang Heng looked at the designer clothes Zhu Kaifeng was wearing, a hint of suspicion in his eyes. At that moment, Zhu Kaifeng suddenly tugged at his own clothes and said, "It's a high-quality replica. Wore it to give my buddy some face." Rin Chuan was instantly petrified. He thought, he hasn't even asked yet, and you're already confessing without being prompted. And the suspicion in Jiang Heng's eyes immediately vanished. "I see." Rin Chuan quickly came out to clean up the mess, smiling and explaining to Jiang Heng that his friend was just talkative. Don't mind him. Just as he finished speaking, the nurse inserted the needle and then pulled it out again. Rin Chuan completely exploded, holding up his swollen hand. He roared aggrievedly. This nurse has been sticking and pulling the needle more than 10 times. "Bro, where's your conscience?" Chui Mingho adjusted his glasses and said seriously, "She was cursed by Luossifen." Just then, the needle the nurse had inserted was pulled out again. Rin Chuan tearfully snapped at Jiang Heng beside him. "Why are you staying? To watch me make a fool of myself?" Jiang Heng sighed and said he was staying to serve as a warning. Rin Chuan looked worried. "Is your liver cancer acting up?" But Jiang Heng said happily, "The weather is great today, especially suitable for doing 2 sets of Kegel exercises." Rin Chuan, his heart dead, rushed to the windowsill, yelling, "I don't want to live anymore. Let go of me." Zhu Kaifeng desperately held onto Rin Chuan. Is this a final burst of energy before death? He then told Rin Chuan, "Don't jump from the 5th floor. It won't kill you, but you'll be disabled for life." Jiang Heng also hurried forward to grab him, yelling worriedly, "Come back and talk it over. If not, just 1 set is fine too." That day, Meng Chun came to the hospital with a contract for Rin Chuan to sign. Rin Chuan picked up the pen and signed on the line for Party B. Meng Chun asked, "Boss, we're Party A. Why are you signing as Party B?" Rin Chuan grumbled that he only signed in the wrong place because Meng Chun was staring at him, making it seem like he was signing his own cremation order. Meng Chun said, "I'm not taking the blame for this. It's clearly because your IQ goes offline whenever you sign something." After speaking, he took out a new copy for Rin Chuan to sign. He also said the reason the company hadn't gone bankrupt after all these years was probably because they had chosen a location with good feng shui. After signing the document, Rin Chuan posed coquettishly and retorted, "The reason the company hasn't gone bankrupt is because your boss, me, is handsome." Meng Chun looked at the signature on the document and complained at his heart. "He's a bit handsome, yes. It's just that his handwriting is shockingly ugly." Rin Chuan was furious, pointing at Meng Chun and yelling that his handwriting was original and had created a new font in the world of calligraphy. After yelling, he put both hands on Meng Chun's shoulders and threw him with force. "You dare to roast your boss? Grandpa will teach you how to be a proper employee today." With a thud, he threw Meng Chun onto the bed and then flipped over to straddle him. Meng Chun turned his head away and said quietly, "Boss, I now have evidence to suspect you're trying to sexually harass me." Rin Chuan rolled his eyes. "Nonsense. Can 2 tops find happiness together?" Suddenly, the door to the room opened. Jiang Heng was at the door saying, "The cafeteria has braised beef again today." After speaking, he saw the terminally ill Chuaner doing something not suitable for children. Jiang Heng was stunned for a moment before coming to his senses. He then shyly covered his eyes. "Sorry to interrupt. I didn't see anything." "Boss, are you trying to sexually harass me?" "Nonsense. What happiness can 2 tops have together?" Meng Chun came to the hospital to have Rin Chuan sign documents. As a result, the great CEO signed on the line for Party B. Meng Chun couldn't help but roast his own boss for having his IQ offline. The company's survival for so many years must be because they chose a location with good feng shui. Rin Chuan thought the reason the company hadn't failed for years was because he was handsome. Meng Chun couldn't help but mutter that he was indeed handsome. It's just that his handwriting was bizarrely ugly. The mention of his ugly handwriting made Rin Chuan lose it. He immediately yelled that he was going to teach Meng Chun a lesson. But just as he pinned him on the bed, Jiang Hung pushed the door open and saw a scene of coercion. The two on the bed were stunned for a moment, then immediately jumped far apart. Rin Chuan quickly told Jiang Hung not to misunderstand. Nothing happened between us. Just as Rin Chuan finished speaking, Meng Chun behind him tried to explain, "My boss and I are actually..." Before he could finish, Jiang Hung looked puzzled. "Boss." Rin Chuan quickly grabbed Meng Chun, pulled him to his side, and turned to hug him. He chuckled and told Jiang Hung what Meng Chun meant to say was husband. Meng Chun's face was full of disgust. He thought, "I'm tainted now. I have a crush, you know." After speaking, Rin Chuan leaned toward Meng Chun's ear with an expectant look. "Isn't that right? That husband?" Disgusted, Meng Chun shoved Rin Chuan away. He walked up to Jiang Hung to explain that he had no relationship with his boss. Jiang Hung tilted his head. "So you are the boss?" "Oh." This guy's IQ must be in his shoes. If Rin Chuan didn't act now, his cover would be blown. He quickly asked Jiang Hung to give him a chance to explain. After getting Jiang Heng's consent, Rin Chuan activated his award-winning actor mode. Holding a handkerchief, he sobbed, "I've already broken up with that bastard. We have no relationship now." Jiang Hung was a bit confused. "You broke up? But you were just fooling around on the bed." Before Rin Chuan could explain, Meng Chun suddenly jumped out. "He forced me. Hey, Xuan stirt and Meng Chun hatefully. You dare betray your boss?" Jiang Hung sighed deeply. He walked over and patted Rin Chuan's shoulder, persuading him earnestly, "Actually, you still love him." Rin Chuan clenched his fists in anger. "Love him, my ass." Jiang Hung rolled his eyes. "You don't love him? Then why were you sitting on him?" Rin Chuan clutched his heart and cried painfully, saying he was just lusting after his body, reliving their past happiness. Jiang Hung had an epiphany. Just as he was about to speak, Rin Chuan suddenly pointed at Meng Chun and accused him, saying Meng Chun was a scumbag who came to the hospital room specifically to show off a contract worth tens of millions. Not only that, he's also showing off the 3-carat diamond ring he bought for his new boyfriend. After Rin Chuan finished his accusation, Jiang Hung looked at Meng Chun with a frosty aura. "You scumbag." Meng Chun's heart panicked. To avoid a war from breaking out, he quickly explained, "How could two tops be possible?" But before he could finish, Rin Chuan tearfully chimed in again. "The love between two tops isn't easy. I worked hard delivering food to save money, while you have one on each arm, loving one after another." Meng Chun felt like dying. This boss was a supersized saboteur. With Rin Chuan's shout, Jiang Heng's anger reached its peak. He was already starting to roll up his sleeves. Seeing the situation was bad, Meng Chun quickly said he had something to do and left. Suddenly, the door was slammed open with a bang. Before the person entered, their voice arrived first. "Chuaner, I've memorized all the lines. It'll definitely work today." After he spoke, the room fell into a dead silence. Afterward, the three people in the room had different feelings. Rin Chuan felt like he was in purgatory. One wave hadn't settled before another rose. His childhood friend saw the situation in the room wasn't right, quickly backed out of the room, and said apologetically, "I'll start over." This one doesn't count. The moment he closed the door, the childhood friend was panicking like hell inside. Holy crap, why didn't Chuana say Meng Chun was also here to act? However, based on the situation in the room just now, Meng Chun was definitely the scumbag, no doubt about it. He mentally praised himself for being quick-witted and smart. Then he kicked the hospital room door open and roared angrily, "You shameless scumbag! How dare you try to steal my man?" This shows the importance of having a terrible teammate. Just when the ex-boyfriend issue was about to blow over, a suitor suddenly popped up. How could they possibly smooth over this lie now? So at this moment, Jiang Hung was sitting on the sofa like a parent. "So what's going on?" The three people in front of him stood obediently. This was simply a large-scale battlefield of love. Jiang Hung looked at Meng Chun. "You're the scumbag ex-boyfriend." Meng Chun retorted in a small, resentful voice, "I'm not that much of a scumbag." Then, Jiang Hung looked at the childhood friend. "You're the current boyfriend." Not only did the childhood friend admit it, he even added that he was a super rich, top-tier deliverman boyfriend. Jiang Hung ignored him and looked directly at Rin Chuan in the middle. As for you, after a long silence, Jiang Hung spat out one word, bottom. The two people beside them covered their mouths, trying hard to hold back their laughter. Rin Chuan angrily retorted that he was a top, a very masculine top, but Jiang Hung didn't seem to care. With a look of sudden realization, he said, "There is only one truth." Then, pushing his non-existent glasses, he laid out his deductions in an orderly manner. After speaking, he asked the three with a smug look if his reasoning was credible. Seeing that Jiang Hung had cemented his title as a scumbag, Meng Chun quickly raised his hand, wanting to clear his name. But Jiang Hung shot him down due to insufficient evidence. At this point, Ren Chuan weakly raised his hand. "I have something to say." Jiang Hung coughed seriously twice. "You only have 3 minutes. Time to clear his name." Ren Chuan took a deep breath. He immediately grabbed his childhood friend and said seriously, "This guy is not my boyfriend. He likes that Yui Hitano." After saying that, he snatched his friend's phone, showed the screen to Jiang Hung, and said the photo album was full of pictures of various AV actresses. Jiang Heng's face darkened. He said seriously, "Yui is my wife too." Then he asked Rin Chuan, "If he's not your boyfriend, then he must be your sugar daddy." Jiang Hung remembered that the two of them had promised to take the adult college entrance exam together. He immediately felt that his Chuaner couldn't possibly be a kept man. He looked fiercely at Zhu Kaifeng. "Our Chuaner has a noble character. He would never yield to the stench of money. If you think you can buy your way into his pants, you must be dreaming." Then he turned his head and gently asked Rin Chuan, "Anything else to add?" What could Rin Chuan say? "You've already thought of such a perfect reason for me. Although I'm very fierce right now, only applause fits the situation." Receiving Ren Chuan's praise, Jiang Hung showed no modesty at all. He even said smugly that his 1,000+ episodes of Bleach were not watched for nothing. Seeing that Jiang Hung wasn't going to pursue the matter with Meng Chun, Rin Chuan went up to Jiang Hung and started discussing the latest movie version of a certain film, the kind with dual subtitles, high definition, and uncensored. When the two talked about Yui, they suddenly felt like they had found a soulmate. They were just short of putting themselves into the movie. The two who were completely ignored were now full of resentment. "This bastard held us here for questioning for half a day, and in the end, you two just moved on. This is intolerable." Then, burning with furious anger, the two rolled up their sleeves and closed in on Rin Chuan. "You bastard, you're worse than shit. I'll kill you. After screwing us over, you two just move on? This is intolerable." Meng Chun and Zhu Kaifeng were so angry they immediately rolled up their sleeves, ready to teach the culprit a good lesson. Meng Chun angrily put Rin Chuan in a headlock. "I'm a scumbag, right? I'll show you what a scumbag is now." Meanwhile, Zhu Kaifeng was responsible for attacking Rin Chuan's lower body. "I'm a sugar daddy, right? That'll give you a good keeping. I'll show you what it means for the son to pay the father's debt." Just as Rin Chuan was about to be beaten to death by the two, Jiang Hung worriedly spoke up to stop them. "Go easy on him. He's incontinent. Don't squeeze the piss and shit out of him." The moment the two heard incontinent, they stopped their actions and stared at Jiang Hung in utter astonishment. And Jiang Hung even told the two very seriously, "Rin Chuan relies on diapers to get by every day. He's wearing one right now. Don't bully him. You might tear his diaper in a bit. Leave him some dignity." After hearing Jiang Heng's words, their anger from a moment ago vanished instantly. It was replaced by the look of an eager spectator. Then they couldn't hold it in anymore, laughing so hard they collapsed on the floor, unable to straighten up. Rin Chuan felt his soul ascending to heaven. Dignity? Could this fucking shattered dignity be picked up from the floor? So, amidst everyone's laughter, Rin Chuan silently climbed onto the windowsill. Speaking of which, how many times has Chuaner climbed the windowsill since being hospitalized? He's always threatening to cry, throw a fit, and hang himself at the slightest provocation. Are you sure he's a top? Rin Chuan was muttering his final words to himself. The other two, his own people who love to watch a good show, even chimed in to tease him. "Rin Chuan, don't jump. Your piss and shit will leak. Your incontinence will pollute the flowers and plants." Listen to these two. Are they even human? To say such things to a dying man. Rin Chuan's face was streaked with tears. He looked up to the sky and lamented, "I won't have the face to see anyone in the days to come. Just let me go with the wind." Just then, Meng Chun's phone rang. He took out his phone, glanced at it, and told Rin Chuan to wait a bit before jumping. He had to take a call first. Then, with a honey-sweet expression, he answered the phone. "Darling, You're sick? Is it serious? It's fine, just a small cold. I'm at work right now. Be good. I'll come find you tonight. Love you. These cheesy words were clearly from someone in the honeymoon phase. Rin Chuan yelled at Meng Chun after he hung up. Can you not show off your relationship? Consider all the single dogs here. After Rin Chuan finished scolding, Zhu Kaifeng even barked twice in agreement. After putting his phone away, Meng Chun coldly asked Rin Chuan, "Are you still going to jump?" "I'm done." Unbeknownst to him, Jiang Heng was behind him, radiating anger. It's one thing to show off, but to make a call right in front of Chuaner to provoke him? Do you want to anger him to death that badly? Meng Chun raised an eyebrow, asking Jiang Heng in what capacity he was meddling in his affairs. Hearing this, Rin Chuan looked at Jiang Heng with anticipation. But after a moment of thought, Jiang Heng put an arm around Rin Chuan's shoulder and said he was his biological brother from different parents. My dear younger brother is being humiliated. As his older brother, I can't just stand by and watch. Just as Jiang Heng finished speaking, his phone rang. On the other end, Zhong Yin had brought a lot of documents and was waiting in the ward for his signature. Jiang Heng hung up and said his relatives were visiting, so he had to go deal with them first. Then he fiercely told Meng Chun to leave quickly. If I come back and you're still here harassing Chuaner, don't blame me for beating you into a level 8 cripple. Meng Chun's face showed no fear. He even sarcastically remarked that Jiang Heng must live by the seaside to be so nosy, and that someone with terminal cancer should get angry less. Jiang Heng's imposing manner was instantly deflated by the comeback. He then turned to Rin Chuan, gave him a gentle head pat, and said that with him around, he wouldn't let Rin Chuan be hurt by a scumbag. Zhu Kaifeng, who was watching the show from the side, looked at Rin Chuan's obedient appearance and exclaimed in shock, "Didn't Chuan say he was a top? Why does he look so bottom-like?" After Jiang Heng left, Meng Chun took out the unsigned contract and urged Rin Chuan to sign it quickly. But Rin Chuan curiously asked Meng Chun, "When did you start dating?" But Meng Chun was full of sarcasm. He said he was used to getting straight to the point, unlike some people who beat around the bush and ended up with nothing. Rin Chuan, however, had an expression that said, "You don't understand." He said affectionately that he was going through all this trouble just to quietly accompany him on the final journey of his life. Meng Chun rolled his eyes, then sighed meaningfully. He and you both have terminal cancer. It's truly a pity, but I think people should live without regrets. The great CEO who hid in a hospital to avoid blind dates ended up falling for a handsome man with terminal cancer. He even bought a coffin for the other person, but he never dared to confess his feelings. That day, his assistant's words, "Live without regrets," gave Rin Chuan an epiphany. After signing the documents, he ran directly to his beloved's hospital room. Along the way, Rin Chuan imagined their beautiful future, but when he pushed open the door, he saw a warm scene of someone being fed. Jiang Heng had returned to his room after getting a call from his assistant, looking anxious. He said he had to finish signing quickly to go rescue the fallen beautiful boy. To save time, he had his assistant feed him his takeout. Seeing his boss's anxious look, Zhong Yin quietly asked if the boss cared about that fellow patient. Jiang Heng explained that he just felt sorry for the patient's pitiful family background and was taking care of him a little. Zhong Yin wanted to give his clueless boss another hint, but suddenly, the door to the hospital room was pushed open. Rin Chuan ran in, panting, "Jiang Heng, I have something to say to you." But then he saw a particularly jarring scene. The two people in the room looked like they were facing a great enemy. Rin Chuan stood dumbfounded at the door. The boss is even feeding him. Jiang Heng, flustered, put down the documents in his hand and couldn't say a word for a long time. Luckily, the assistant beside him quickly clarified his identity. "I'm his ex-boyfriend. I used to always call him boss when we were dating, so don't misunderstand. It's a hard habit to break. A few days ago, I heard he was about to kick the bucket, so I came specially to offer end-of-life care." Jiang Heng looked helplessly at his assistant, telling him not to talk nonsense. How am I supposed to smooth this over later? After hearing Zhong Yin's words, Rin Chuan fell into thought. Jiang Heng thought to himself, "My Chuaner won't believe this nonsense." Suddenly, Rin Chuan's hand landed on his shoulder with a look that said, "I understand everything. Everyone makes mistakes in judgment and meets the wrong person sometimes." Jiang Heng wanted to explain, but Rin Chuan gave him no chance. He even fiercely declared his sovereignty to Zhong Yin, telling him not to bother in the future. "Once you're broken up, you should cut off all contact. I'll take care of my own boyfriend. I don't need an ex to come curry favor." Zhong Yin clapped his hands happily, not forgetting to offer congratulations like a harmonious union for 100 years, and may you have a precious child soon. Jiang Hung looked at the person who was puffed up like a little kitten with its fur on end and suddenly found this silly fool so cute. Jiang Hung picked up the signed documents and handed them to Zhong Yin, then kicked Zhong Yin out of the room. Before leaving, Zhong Yin didn't forget to say goodbye to Ren Chuan. "We'll meet again." Ren Chuan was full of question marks. What did "we'll meet again" mean? Was this a blatant provocation, or were there lingering feelings? Who would have thought that just as Zhong Yin walked out of the hospital room, he would see his own darling, who had also just come out of the room opposite? Meng Chun looked up and was somewhat surprised to see his baby appear across from him. Then the two came to their senses. "Darling, aren't you at work?" "Baby, what are you doing in the oncology department?" Then both said they were visiting a patient. Meng Chun thought it was best not to stay long. He quickly pulled his baby and fled the hospital. And so, the two happily and sweetly began their life as a couple, even arranging to study the happiness of life together that night. Compared to the assistants, who had already fought several rounds in the ring, that the two CEOs' progress was really slow. After dawdling for so long, Chuaner still thought he was the top. It seems Jiang Hung is not capable enough. The two great CEOs, hiding from blind dates by faking terminal illness, cherished each other in the hospital. They accompanied each other daily. After chasing away each other's ex-boyfriends, they were preparing to go to the cafeteria to eat. But in the hallway, they encountered a scumbag bullying his girlfriend. He was shamelessly insulting his girlfriend, calling her a hen that can't lay eggs and asking what use she was. Jiang Hung and Ren Chuan couldn't stand it anymore. They gave the girl's scumbag boyfriend a good beating, then brought the girl to the hospital room to console her. They told her to broaden her horizons and not to hang onto a single crooked neck tree. After all, four-legged toads are rare, but three-legged men are plentiful. After hearing Ren Chuan's words, the girl looked at Jiang Hung with sudden realization. A ready-made three-legged toad prince, and a ridiculously handsome three-legged one at that. Ren Chuan realized the girl's gaze was not right and quickly turned her head, correcting her, except for him. "Look at others. When you get better, I can also introduce you to a few. An ideal son-in-law with 18 centimeters. Ren Chuan said a lot, but Jiang Hung only heard one thing, 18 centimeters. So he raised an eyebrow and asked Ren Chuan, "Where did you meet such a high-quality stud?" Ren Chuan felt a bit guilty. "I met them delivering food. After a few more deliveries, we got familiar." Jiang Hung looked unconvinced. "Then you must have felt them up pretty clearly, huh? 18 centimeters is so precise." Ren Chuan hurriedly explained, "I didn't have a chance to feel them up. When introducing someone, you definitely have to exaggerate the good parts, right?" Jiang Hung nodded. However, his mind was stuck on the 18 centimeters hurdle. He kept wondering if he should show his own. If it wasn't enough, he wondered if he could get surgery. Then, Ren Chuan told Jiang Hung not to interrupt. The current task was to comfort the girl and help her get over the pain of the scumbag as soon as possible. Who knew that as soon as he finished speaking, the girl looked at the two of them with a joyful expression. You two aren't a couple, are you?" It turned out the girl was also one of them, a real-life CP shipper. Ren Chuan gave the girl a thumbs up, mentally praising her good eye. But Jiang Hung quickly denied it, saying they were just biological brothers from different parents. Ren Chuan was so angry he was grinding his teeth. A dog's mouth. Oh no, a beauty's mouth really can't spit out ivory tusks. Would it kill you to admit it? Jiang Hung asked the girl if she was feeling better. Who knew the girl would start sighing again? Ren Chuan immediately suggested going to sing karaoke, saying that after venting and getting some sleep, all her troubles would be gone. So the three of them secretly snuck out of the hospital and went to a KTV to have fun. But the more the girl drank, the sadder she became. Jiang Hung could only awkwardly use Ren Chuan, who had terminal stomach cancer, as a source of comfort. When the girl cried that she earned $8,000 a month and no one wanted her, Ren Chuan at the side spread his hands. "I earn $8 million a month and still no one wants me." Jiang Hung was shocked. "What 8 million? It's not RMB. It's 8 million Zimbabwean dollars. Damn it, it feels good to lie for a moment, but covering it up is a crematorium." Jiang Hung counted on his fingers for a while to convert it. "That's only 10 cents. Are you sure?" Ren Chuan was so nervous he broke out in a cold sweat. "That's not important." Suddenly, Ren Chuan looked at Jiang Hung affectionately. "We've already reached the final journey of life. Someone has to watch your back as you leave. You just stand here and don't move." I'll go buy you some oranges. Jiang Heng's perfect comeback. These two are truly award-winning actors. One's acting is better than the other's. Xuan was furious. Why do you always want to be the dad? I don't lack a father. It was a rare moment of poetic sentiment, but he ran into a dense idiot. After cursing, he saw the girl who was happily shipping them. Miss, can you not be so excited about your shipping? As a result, the girl let out a shy cry, threw out a handkerchief, and started wailing. My life is so bitter. Rin Chuan held his breath. Why does that sentence sound like it was said for me at this moment? The single-dog childhood friend, forgotten by Rin Chuan in the hospital room, was about to grow mushrooms from waiting. So miserable. You're all in pairs, leaving me all alone. The two great CEOs hid in the hospital faking terminal cancer, resulting in all sorts of bizarre incidents. They even happily gained an ex-boyfriend because of it. Who knew that just after helping each other drive away their ex-boyfriends, they would encounter a real scumbag bullying a girl? So the two roared at the injustice on the road and rescued the girl from the scumbag's hands. Rin Chuan consoled her for a long time, but the girl was still very sad. So Rin Chuan took the girl to a KTV to have fun. When it was time to leave, the girl had finally moved on from the scumbag. She shyly dedicated a song to the two of them to express her gratitude. The two were naturally very happy. As the saying goes, saving a life is better than building a 7-story pagoda. So the girl put away her earlier heartbreak and began to sing earnestly. Immersed in the gentle song, Rin Chuan looked at Jiang Heng's side profile, and his heart began to beat like a small drum. This man's side profile is so handsome. I'll accompany you for the rest of our days. Then, Rin Chuan stood up, walked in front of Jiang Heng, and gentlemanly invited him for a dance. Jiang Heng looked for a moment, then placed his hand in his. I'd be delighted. The song swirled around them. The two in the center of the dance floor enjoyed the happiness of the moment. Rin Chuan felt the warmth from his palm, his eyes full of deep affection as he looked at Jiang Heng. And Jiang Heng was also gazing tenderly at Rin Chuan. After a while, he slowly opened his mouth. Chuaner, there's something I've always wanted to say to you. Rin Chuan's stiff body was extremely tense. Is Jiang Heng going to confess? Hurry up and say it. I'm very willing. Rin Chuan felt every cell in his body boiling with anticipation. A bewitching voice came to his ear. Xuan'e. Rin Chuan instantly felt his heart was about to leap out of his chest. He perked up his ears to listen carefully to Jiang Heng's next words. But Jiang Heng, in the most affectionate and ambiguous voice, said, It's too late. It's time for your foredrip. The fire of anger sizzled in Rin Chuan's heart. Damn it, my brain must be flooded to think this big straight guy was going to confess. Made me get my hopes up for nothing. But Rin Chuan didn't know that while he was being coaxed by sweet words to obediently return to the hospital for his foredrip, Jiang Heng was in the bathroom, trying hard to suppress the restlessness and unease in his heart. Jiang Heng looked at his blushing face in the mirror, unable to understand. Rin Chuan was just an ordinary deliver man. Why did he unconsciously want to get closer, to pounce on him whenever he saw him? At this time, Rin Chuan, who had just been used as a teaching material and poked multiple times by the handsome and kind-hearted Cui Mingho, was holding his bag alone, legs clamped together, slowly walking towards the bathroom. In his heart, Rin Chuan was cursing Cui Mingho as a dog. Suddenly, a person in a hurry bumped heavily into the shoulder with the four. Rin Chuan looked at the figure fleeing at high speed and the back of his hand, which was now bleeding, and was so scared he burst into tears. Jiang Heng in the bathroom quickly ran out and asked Rin Chuan what happened. The moment Rin Chuan saw Jiang Heng come out of the bathroom, his heart panicked. This guy isn't going to help me pull up my pants again, is he? The thought of the last embarrassing incident made his face instantly burn hot. Suddenly, Rin Chuan forcefully pushed Jiang Heng away and rushed into a stall with his bag. Just as Rin Chuan was closing the door and breathing a sigh of relief, a large hand stopped the closing door. Without thinking, he knew it was Jiang Heng. What are you hiding from? Can you manage alone? Don't you need my help? Rin Chuan was instantly so nervous he was covered in sweat. He loudly refused. No need. At this moment, Rin Chuan felt that the face in front of him was not attractive at all. He just wanted him to leave quickly. Regardless of length, he didn't want to be seen by him again. It was too embarrassing. The two CEOs pretending to have terminal cancer took care of each other in the hospital. However, under the supervised treatment of his fellow patient, CEO Rin probably had his life shortened by a few days. This day, Ren Chuan, under supervised treatment again, was dragging his forced stand towards the bathroom. But Jiang Hung insisted on helping Ren Chuan use the toilet. In their struggle and pushing, they broke the bathroom door. The door was about to come crashing down. Jiang Hung quickly pulled Ren Chuan into his arms to protect him. As a result, his shoulder was cut by a large gash. Both were shocked. Why was there a razor blade on the bathroom door panel? Jiang Hung endured the sharp pain from his shoulder and quietly asked Ren Chuan, "Could this blade be contaminated with AIDS? Just now in a bathroom, I saw a sneaky man in black come out of stall. Could it be him?" When Ren Chuan heard Jiang Hung mention the man in black, he immediately remembered the man who had bumped into him and fled. He immediately pulled the needle out of his hand, grabbed Jiang Hung, and ran towards the emergency room. Because he was in such a hurry, Ren Chuan even tripped over his own force stand. Jiang Hung helped Ren Chuan up. Looking at this person who was so worried about him, his heart was filled with mixed feelings. And Ren Chuan, whether because of the man in black or the suspected AIDS, his face was so dark it looked like you could squeeze water from it. Jiang Hung carefully pulled him into his arms. "Chuaner, don't worry, I'll be fine. Don't assume the worst." In the emergency room, the young nurse cleaned and bandaged the wound, gave some instructions, and then left. Jiang Hung told Ren Chuan to go back to sleep quickly. But Ren Chuan was like a child who had made a mistake, carefully apologizing. "I'm sorry. If I hadn't gone into the stall, you wouldn't have been injured." Ren Chuan's outstretched hand was just about to touch the wound. When it was angrily grabbed by Jiang Hung. "Don't touch it." Ren Chuan thought Jiang Hung was blaming him, and it was true that he had caused his injury. He timidly withdrew his hand and explained in a small voice, "I just wanted to check on it." Jiang Hung covered his own wound, his face full of worry. "Don't get my blood on you." Ren Chuan just stared blankly at Jiang Hung. So he wasn't blaming him. He was actually very worried about whether he had been infected. Jiang Hung saw Ren Chuan's worry. He quickly stood up and grinningly pushed Ren Chuan out of the room. But Ren Chuan clung to the doorway, refusing to leave. Jiang Hung asked teasingly, "You don't want to leave? Do you want to stay and sleep with me?" As soon as he said it, Ren Chuan grabbed Jiang Hung's hand and stammered for a long time. Jiang Hung thought Ren Chuan was still blaming himself. He reached out and patted his head. "Don't worry. We'll know the results tomorrow after we go to the CDC for a checkup." Just as Jiang Hung finished speaking, Ren Chuan, his face bright red, shouted, "I want to sleep with you." Then he left Jiang Hung and ran off by himself. A moment later, Ren Chuan appeared in front of Jiang Hung, holding a pillow and looking adorable. "I'm ready." Jiang Hung was stunned. "I was just saying that casually. You actually took it seriously?" Hearing this, Ren Chuan's previously excited face was filled with disappointment. "I was so serious, but you were just joking." What a clueless straight guy. But since he said it was a joke, staying would seem a bit tactless. Ren Chuan had to awkwardly find a way to back out and prepare to leave. Suddenly, Jiang Hung grabbed Ren Chuan, who was about to turn around. Then he happily pulled him into the room. "Since you're here, let's sleep together. My nickname is the constant temperature little furnace. I guarantee you won't freeze to death." Then the door clicked shut, but Jiang Hung was really straight. He actually thought Ren Chuan wanted to sleep together because there was no heating and he would be cold sleeping alone. Next episode preview. They touched. Does that count as a kiss if we round up? I want to sleep with you. Jiang Hung didn't take these words seriously when he heard them. He just felt a bit of anticipation in his heart, until Ren Chuan appeared before him holding a pillow. After a moment of shock, Jiang Hung saw Ren Chuan was about to leave and quickly dragged him into the room. Indeed, the best hunters always appear in the form of prey. On the hospital bed, their eyes met, each with different feelings. Confirmed with a look, "I've met the right person." At first, looking at each other felt flawless, with love blossoming. But after staring for a long time, the love-filled gaze turned into an awkward stare. Finally, Ren Chuan couldn't take it anymore. When other people lock eyes, it's all ambiguous and romantic. Why do we look like we're sizing up a thief? So Ren Chuan propped up his head and offered to sing Jiang Hung a lullaby. Jiang Hung was amused by Ren Chuan. "You can even sing lullabies?" It's just that Jiang Hung didn't expect that this lullaby would almost send him to the crematorium. Macapaka, Aka Waka. Jiang Hung, who had never seen the cartoon, was stunned for a moment, wondering what kind of ritual his Chuaner was performing. Afraid that he would really die young if he kept listening, he quickly covered Ren Chuan's mouth. "Chuaner, you sing really well. Don't sing it next time." Ren Chuan was full of question marks. If I sang well, why shouldn't I sing it again? Then he realized he seemed to have been disliked. He grabbed Jiang Hung's wrist to question him. Are you dissing me? I'll learn this lullaby especially for you. Others can't even hear it if they want to. Jiang Hung sighed in his heart. The power of your lullaby is too great. It's only suitable for liberating the dying. However, Jiang Hung didn't voice his dislike. Instead, he flicked Ren Chuan's forehead indulgently. How could I dislike it? You learned something you're not good at for my sake. I guess I didn't dote on you for nothing. Ren Chuan covered his forehead, two rosy clouds climbing onto his cheeks again. He muttered in a small voice, "Then you should dote on me a little more." Jiang Hung didn't hear clearly. Only then did Ren Chuan realize he had acted like a bottom again. He shyly wrapped himself in the blanket, annoyed in his heart that he had lost face as a top. Jiang Hung helplessly poked the guy wrapped up like a silkworm cocoon. His voice was full of helplessness and indulgence. "So you didn't come to sleep with me, but to hog my blanket?" Ren Chuan shot up. "I did not." Who knew that the timing and position of this movement couldn't have been better? Soft lips touched each other. The warmth from their lips traveled to the bottom of their hearts. For a moment, the air was filled with the breath of the two. A moment later, Ren Chuan reacted. With a heart pounding wildly, he carefully moved his lips away, covered his burning face, and fell back onto the head of the bed. Jiang Hung, however, was frozen in place with a dazed expression, unable to come back to his senses for a long time. In the quiet room, the sound of two rapidly beating hearts interacted rhythmically. Ren Chuan's face was so hot, it was practically steaming. "We touched. If we round up, that's a kiss, right? What do I do?" Ren Chuan's heart was excited and scared, the two emotions endlessly entangled. At this time, Jiang Hung also slowly accepted the fact. He looked serious. "Xuania." Ren Chuan turned his head away, feeling guilty. Jiang Hung is a straight man. Will he be angry? Seeing that Ren Chuan didn't answer, Jiang Hung put on a flirtatious expression, reached out, and pinched Ren Chuan's chin. "What's this? Not only did you climb into my bed, you're also throwing yourself at me?" Ren Chuan was completely flustered by Jiang Hang's countermove. He thought, did the kiss open Jiang Hang's mind? How did he become so good at flirting? Ren Chuan thought that sleeping together would lead to a different outcome. So the two stared hard at each other, trying to force it. In the end, they didn't spark any ambiguity, but they did create some awkwardness. Ren Chuan had intended to sing a lullaby for Jiang Hung, but Jiang Hung almost died on the spot. Ren Chuan wanted to demand justice from Jiang Hung. After all, he had learned it especially for him. But by a stroke of luck, they ended up kissing right on the lips. This got this old mother so excited. They finally kissed after 3 centuries. The assistant next door's second child is already old enough to run errands. Ren Chuan looked at Jiang Hung, who wasn't angry but was teasing him instead, and thought that Jiang Hung had finally seen the light. He could finally get some action. But Jiang Hung said that the domineering CEOs and dramas always did this, and he'd want to try it for a long time. Ren Chuan was speechless. Based on the principle that he couldn't be the one to lose out, Ren Chuan grabbed Jiang Hang's wrist and flirted back. "Don't be shy. I'd love to be responsible for you. Never mind throwing yourself at me. I'm willing to devote my life to you." Ren Chuan thought that since he was being so direct, Jiang Hung would surely give some reaction. But not only did Jiang Hung react, he turned into Monk Jiang and chanted for half an hour. He went on and on about how one must be careful and not have a scumbag attracting constitution. Ren Chuan covered his ears, utterly helpless. "Master Jiang, please stop chanting. Tang Sanzang is about to lose his job. I thought this guy had finally seen the light, even just a little. But it turns out he's still the same old, clueless straight guy. So dense, it's a crime." Ren Chuan could only sigh endlessly. Who could he blame but himself for liking this dense fool? A fool who would risk his life for him, at that. And at a time like this, he still had the energy to joke around. The thought that he might really be infected with HIV made Ren Chuan unable to stop sighing. Only then did Jiang Hung put away his sutra book and pull the worried-looking Ren Chuan into his arms. He comforted him. "I know what you're afraid of. Don't worry, it'll be okay." Ren Chuan lowered his head. "If you're really infected, I'll feel guilty and uneasy for the rest of my life." Jiang Hung pulled Ren Chuan to lie down and thoughtfully tucked him in. "It would be so great if you were my little brother. That way, you could always be with me, and I could give you all my love." Ren Chuan didn't say anything, just leaned against Jiang Hang's chest like a little bird, his brows furrowed. "I want more than that, but you don't know." After a long while, the breathing of Ren Chuan in his arms gradually steadied. Only then did Jiang Hung open his eyes, carefully studying the sleeping person in his arms. So cute, like a little fragrant pig. As he thought about it, Jiang Hang's fingers brushed against Ren Chuan's lips, but he quickly pulled them back. This cautious manner was as if he were handling a treasure. Then he held the person in his arms a little tighter, inhaling the fragrance of his hair. Jiang Hung himself couldn't say when it had started. Protecting Ren Chuan had already become an instinct, and now a desire to protect him for a lifetime had sprouted in his heart. Not knowing how long he had slept, Jiang Hung groggily opened his eyes and saw the alluring Ren Chuan sitting astride him. Beneath his open shirt was a sight that stirred one's desires. Jiang Hung sat up abruptly. "Chuana, what are you doing?" With his chest bared, the alluring Chuaner was just too seductive. Jiang Hung tried hard to suppress his inner turmoil and seriously asked Ren Chuan what he was doing. Ren Chuan didn't answer Jiang Heng's question. He reached out his index finger, touched Jiang Heng's lips, and said, "Don't talk. Don't ask anything. You just need to enjoy it." Looking at the incredibly tempting man on top of him, the defenses in his heart were broken down bit by bit. Jiang Heng's face was flushed, and he was breathing heavily, yet he allowed Ren Chuan's hand to roam down from his chest. The thing below his waist stood tall and proud, and at Chuaner's touch, it became even more restless. Still refusing? But it seemed so eager, always waiting to go in a battle and fight to the bloody end. Being teased like this by Ren Chuan, Jiang Heng's face became even more scorching hot. The defenses in his heart completely collapsed. He flipped over and seized the dominant position. Enduring the swelling beneath him, his voice was husky. "Chuan, you're playing with fire." Ren Chuan gently nibbled on Jiang Heng's ear. "Try me if you dare." The ticklish sensation that traveled from his ear to the bottom of his heart, combined with the provocation from the person in his arms, made Jiang Hung completely lose control. He leaned down and moved from Ren Chuan's neck, inch by inch, downwards. The next morning, Jiang Hung slowly woke up. He suddenly saw Ren Chuan looking unusually haggard and was so scared his soul almost flew out. "Chuan!" Ren Chuan, with dark circles under his eyes, looked completely worn out. "What are you shouting for?" After speaking, he tried to shift his position. Suddenly, his back made a cracking sound. "Oh my God, my back!" When Jiang Hung saw Ren Chuan crying out about his back pain, he quickly sat up, feeling guilty. "Was I too rough last night?" Jiang Hung was too embarrassed to say the rest. When Ren Chuan heard Jiang Hung mention last night, his anger flared up. "You dare mention last night?" He couldn't help but mutter to himself, "I told you not to play with fire, but you still provoked me." Jiang Hung was wondering how to apologize for last night. But Ren Chuan said angrily, "You're a grown man. How can you be such a terrible sleeper?" Jiang Hung was confused. Terrible sleeper? Shouldn't it be that I was too rough? Ren Chuan angrily laid out his grievances from last night, one by one, before Jiang Hung. Never mind the punching, kicking, and spinning in your sleep. You even laughed so creepily, for fuck's sake. Jiang Hung, what did you dream about last night? Jiang Hung broke out in a cold sweat and awkwardly explained that he dreamed a thief stole his bag, and he struggled to get it back. But in his mind, he was thinking, so the 300-round battle last night was just a wet dream I had. Ren Chuan leaned in, staring intently at Jiang Hung with a look of disbelief. "You can laugh that creepily just from snatching a bag back? I'm afraid it wasn't a bag you were snatching. It was a person, right?" Jiang Hung had thought his wish had come true, that he'd had a 300-round battle with Chuaner. But he woke up to find that his magnificent display of virility last night was just a wet dream. Faced with Ren Chuan's angry questioning, Jiang Hung was beyond embarrassed. Ren Chuan didn't believe Jiang Heng's story about chasing a thief in his dream and made a couple of sarcastic remarks, then urged Jiang Hung to hurry up and get ready to go to the CDC. Jiang Hung sat on the bed, his face bright red. Ren Chuan actually believed me. Watching Ren Chuan giving instructions nonstop at the door, Jiang Hung breathed a sigh of relief. That was almost a crematorium-level disaster. But why would he have such a dream about Chuaner? Could it be that he really has other feelings for Chuaner? After getting ready, the two arrived at the CDC to wait for the results. Everyone who comes here is a man with a man. Jiang Hung and Ren Chuan sat outside the door, waiting anxiously, exasperated. The strange looks from people passing by were infuriating. Just then, an announcement called for Jiang Hung to enter the consultation room. Jiang Hung got up and told Ren Chuan to wait outside. Ren Chuan grabbed Jiang Heng's wrist. "I'll go in with you. No matter the result, I'll be with you." Ren Chuan's emotional confession deeply moved Jiang Hung. If others weren't around, Jiang Hung probably would have burst into tears on the spot. However, he still gently refused Rin Chuan because no matter the result, he didn't want to add to Chuaner's psychological burden. Rin Chuan watched his confident, departing figure, but his heart was in his throat with nervousness. He silently prayed that it was all just a false alarm. Rin Chuan sat on the chair, his face full of anxiety as various mocking voices came from behind him. I just saw them holding hands. I wonder who's the top and who's the bottom. But to end up here, they must play around quite a bit. The gossip from behind him entered Ren Chuan's ears, every single word. If it were any other time, Ren Chuan would have definitely retorted. But at this moment, Ren Chuan only wanted to stare at the door of the consultation room. A handsome and beautiful man sat down next to Ren Chuan, gently circling his index finger on the back of Ren Chuan's hand. "Hey cutie, your boyfriend is very handsome. You're not bad looking yourself." Ren Chuan didn't even move his eyes. He directly threw a stack of cash at the man's face. "You're an eyesore. Disappear." The man was about to get angry, but when he saw the stack of cash in his hand, his eyes lit up. "Daddy, I've struck gold. Such a rich sugar daddy." The man wasn't planning on just leaving. This could be a long-term meal ticket. So he leaned over and hugged Ren Chuan's arm, coquettishly asking for his contact information and saying his skills were very good. Ren Chuan looked at the man before him, whose skin was thicker than a city wall, with a face full of disgust. The man ignored Ren Chuan's coldness, leaned to his ear, and whispered his sales pitch, saying he knew many tricks. Suddenly, a piece of paper blocked Ren Chuan's ear. The man yelped and jumped away in fright. Jiang Hung was holding his test report, looking serious. "I'm negative." After speaking, he looked at the man pestering Ren Chuan and threatened with a grim face. "Are you going to leave on your own, or should I help you get lost?" The man trembled under Jiang Hang's murderous gaze, quickly stood up and explained, "You've misunderstood. I was just chatting with this little brother. Since you're out, I'll be leaving now." After saying that, he fled in a panic. These two men are scarier than the last. The husband is declaring his sovereignty. The onlookers wanted to help out, but unfortunately, Jiang Hung wouldn't accept it and even fiercely glared the group of helpers away. Jiang Hung thought his anger towards that sissy was just to help Chuaner out of a difficult situation. He was clearly jealous, but didn't realize it. After chasing away the onlookers, Jiang Hung frowned and plopped down next to Ren Chuan, even ambiguously placing his hand on the back of the chair behind him. Ren Chuan saw his worried expression. At first, he thought Jiang Hung was annoyed about that sissy. But on second thought, hadn't he already scared that guy away? So he cautiously asked, "Are the test results out?" Ren Chuan didn't realize that his own voice was trembling with anxiety. Jiang Hung covered his face, looked up, and sighed deeply, the sigh full of helplessness. Seeing this, Ren Chuan's face fell. Don't tell me he really got it. Seeing that Jiang Hung didn't answer, Ren Chuan took it as a silent admission. Looking at his face, which seemed to have lost all will to live, he stood up and anxiously comforted him. "Don't be afraid. Is this the end? With my connections and financial resources, you think I can't get you cured?" Ren Chuan thought Jiang Hang's dejected look was because of the diagnosis. In reality, Jiang Hung was replaying the wet dream of his 300-round battle with Chuaner last night in his mind. Hearing Ren Chuan make such a bold promise, Jiang Hung ruffled his hair, looking a bit helpless. "What can a delivery boy like you do?" Ren Chuan looked at the dejected Jiang Hung, as anxious as an ant on a hot pan, pacing back and forth. Finally, he decided to reveal his identity as a CEO. He would use money to reignite Jiang Hang's will to live. Even if he got angry about the deception, he would accept it. So he put a hand on Jiang Hang's shoulder and looked at him seriously and firmly. "Actually, I'm..." Before he could finish, Jiang Hung, who had been looking down, burst out laughing. Ren Chuan was baffled by this sudden change. What is Jiang Hung laughing about at a time like this? Ren Chuan looked at Jiang Hung, who was laughing uncontrollably, and took the lab report from his hand. The test results showed negative. Ren Chuan's hand holding the report tightened, and his face slowly darkened. "I really want to curse someone out. How can you joke about something like this? I was so worried I almost cried." Jiang Hung looked at Ren Chuan, who was radiating a cold aura, and knew he had gone too far with his joke. What if Ren Chuan gets angry and ignores me? Thinking of this, he hurriedly and clumsily apologized. "I was wrong." You can punish me. Suddenly, Ren Chuan, who had been silent for a long time, threw himself into Jiang Heng's arms. That's great, you're okay. That's really great. Smelling the fragrance of Ren Chuan's hair, Jiang Heng's heart started pounding again. The two blushes that suddenly appeared on his face were exceptionally vibrant. Jiang Heng didn't understand. Why was that sweet feeling of happiness, born from the heart, here again? Why was he so afraid of Chuaner getting angry and ignoring him just now? Why did being held by him make him feel so happy and sweet? I have a cold. The updates are a bit slow. Darlings, remember to leave a footprint before you go. I'm sick. I need to get a good checkup when I get back to the hospital. Jiang Heng, who was being enthusiastically hugged by Ren Chuan, was currently trying hard to suppress his wildly beating heart. When Ren Chuan saw Jiang Heng's expression, he thought he had hugged him too forcefully just now and had triggered his liver cancer. Jiang Heng quickly explained that he was fine, just that his heart was beating a little fast. But when Ren Chuan heard that Jiang Heng was unwell, he quickly pulled him back to the hospital for a checkup. Just then, a flyer flew right into Ren Chuan's face. It was followed by the sound of someone chasing and shouting furiously. I knew you were posting these little ads everywhere. You son of a bitch. When I catch you, I'll beat your ass black and blue. The security guard was chasing, out of breath, while the man in front ran swiftly, even turning back to provoke him from time to time. When Jiang Heng saw the man's face clearly, his brows furrowed slightly. It was the one who hid the blade on the door. Ren Chuan took the small ad off his face and opened it. Massage, healthcare, emotional services. There was also a man with an 8-pack. Jiang Heng turned back, wanting to tell Ren Chuan to stay put while he went to help. But he saw Ren Chuan, who was seething with rage, muttering to himself, so he's a flyer distributor. You think it's fun to mess with me? The man saw the security guard was too tired to run anymore and turned back to give him the middle finger. Suddenly, a shoe flew past the security guard with a whoosh and accurately hit the back of the man's head. The man slowly got up with a large bump on his head. A chilling voice sounded from behind him. Little Cyclone, is it? Thinking of his self-blame and worry over the past 2 days, Ren Chuan was furious. After a barrage of curses, his anger subsided a little. It turned out that on that day, Little Cyclone was posting ads, and hearing someone, broke his small shovel in a panic. The two walked out of the CDC. Ren Chuan leaned close to Jiang Heng's ear and whispered, to celebrate you surviving this ordeal, I'll take you to a good place. Then he took Jiang Heng to Hadaleo. To help Jiang Heng recuperate, Ren Chuan was really giving it his all. He was clearly sick of it, but he had to act like a country bumpkin in the city. In reality, the smell made him want to puke. Jiang Heng looked at the various dishes on the table and then at Ren Chuan, who was gorging himself, a little worried about Chuaner's stomach cancer. He had heard of Hadaleo before, but this was his first time here. Looking around, some people were celebrating birthdays, some were arguing, and some were performing the noodle dance. It was livelier than he had imagined. Jiang Heng looked at Ren Chuan's expression and figured it was his first time eating here too. He happily told Ren Chuan to eat his fill, and they could pack up the leftovers. But in his mind, he was thinking, I'll have Zhong Yin get some top-quality ingredients and have the back kitchen prepare them. It's a rare occasion to eat out, so I have to make sure Chuana eats well. Suddenly, the boiling soup in the pot splashed onto the back of Ren Chuan's hand. The pain made Ren Chuan drop his chopsticks. Seeing this, Jiang Heng anxiously got up, took Ren Chuan's hand to check the injury. Then he lowered his head and gently blew on the reddened skin. I'll go get some burn cream from the waiter. Wait for me. Ren Chuan blushed from Jiang Heng's gentle and flirtatious gesture. Watching his anxious departing figure, although it was embarrassing, it seemed quite satisfying. Just then, a scream came from the seat behind them. Ren Chuan turned his head at the sound. It turned out the noodle-dancing young man had presented the noodles to the young lady like a kata. But this young lady was beautiful and kind-hearted. Not only did she accept the young man's photo, but she also comforted him, saying that accidents happen. When Ren Chuan saw the young lady's face clearly, he was shocked. It was someone he knew. Just then, the man opposite her stood up and handed the young lady a pack of tissues. Ren Chuan's eyebrows jumped. Holy crap, Jiang Heng, your ex-boyfriend. Jiang Heng, who had just sat down, looked confused. What? Ex-boyfriend. Then he stood up and looked in the direction Ren Chuan was pointing. He was shocked. Why are they here? Jiang Heng remembered that he seemed to have sent a message ordering Zhong Yin to take Lu Runen out to cheer her up. But why did they have to come here? At this moment, Jiang Heng's head was buzzing. Ren Chuan simply knelt on the sofa, staring intently at Zhong Yin's table and kept asking Jiang Heng, "Your ex-boyfriend is hitting on Lu Runin. So does he like men or women?" Jiang Heng was restless, breaking out in a nervous sweat. "I don't know. Maybe his tastes have changed." Suddenly, Rin Chuan saw Zhong Yin duck under the table and immediately stood up in anger. "That pervert! What is he looking at under the table? I'm going to kill him." Jiang Heng quickly grabbed the furious Rin Chuan and held him tightly. "Calm down, Chuaner, calm down. What if it's a misunderstanding?" Rin Chuan struggled and shouted, "Misunderstanding my ass. Let go. If that ex-boyfriend of yours lays a hand on Sister Runin." Suddenly, the sound of a plate shattering was heard. The two quickly looked over, and then were both shocked and stunned. Jiang Heng's stuttering voice sounded, "Wait, if I'm not mistaken, that should be your ex-boyfriend, right?" Rin Chuan cursed in his heart. What the hell is with today? An ex-boyfriend meeting a current boyfriend. This scene is quite the battlefield. Just as Rin Chuan was about to go and deal with Jiang Heng's ex-boyfriend, a figure suddenly appeared, stunning everyone. Jiang Heng was completely shocked. "Chuaner, if I'm not mistaken, is that your ex-boyfriend?" Rin Chuan looked horrified. "What day is it today? An ex-boyfriend reunion?" At this moment, Zhong Yin, who was under the table, looked up and saw Meng Chun. He happily stood up. "Darling, what are you doing here?" Meng Chun stared deadly at the girl opposite him, completely confusing her. She muttered to herself, "I don't think I know this person." After staring at the girl for a while, Meng Chun suddenly turned with a dark face and was about to leave. Zhong Yin, not understanding, quickly chased after him. "Darling, wait." The two current boyfriends, who were watching the drama in confusion, saw their ex-boyfriends run past. They quickly hid and pretended to clap and sing, afraid of being discovered. After both ex-boyfriends had run off, the gossipy Rin Chuan quickly pulled Jiang Heng up to go watch the show. Jiang Heng really wanted to refuse in his heart. "Zhong Yin." He kept chasing Meng Chun until they were on a crowded street. "Darling, let me explain." But Meng Chun didn't want to listen, angrily questioning Zhong Yin why he was dating him when he clearly liked girls. "Were you just doing it for fun, to play around?" The more Meng Chun spoke, the angrier he got. He liked him so much, yet he was being played for a fool. "Today is the 1-month anniversary of our relationship. I know you like watching the masters here pull noodles, so I specially learned from them. I was going to pull them for you tonight. I was even thinking of preparing a romantic candlelight dinner for you when we got back, but you were on a date instead." The two simpletons hiding in the bushes were eavesdropping, and the more they heard, the more shocked they were. Rin Chuan and Jiang Heng couldn't believe that their two ex-boyfriends were not only a couple, but had been dating for a month. This gay circle is too small. When Zhong Yin heard that Meng Chun had learned to pull noodles for him, he felt happy and guilty. So he explained the whole story from beginning to end. It turned out that Lu Runin was Jiang Heng's cousin. Because she was in a bad mood after being dumped by a scumbag, Jiang Heng ordered Zhong Yin to accompany her. But as luck would have it, Meng Chun saw the scene of Zhong Yin crawling under the table. So he sarcastically told Zhong Yin to find a better excuse next time. After saying that, he coldly shook off Zhong Yin's hand and said he needed a few days to cool off. Zhong Yin knew that if the misunderstanding wasn't cleared up now, their relationship would be hard to restore. So he grabbed Meng Chun's tie. "Stay right there." Before Meng Chun could react, he pulled him in and kissed him right on the street. Meng Chun's face instantly flushed red. He reached out and pulled Zhong Yin into his arms. In full view of everyone, he deepened the kiss fiercely. The two big simpletons hiding in the bushes were so shocked their jaws dropped. This is way too unrestrained. After being nourished by the deep kiss, the two stuck together clingily. Meng Chun was finally willing to patiently listen to Zhong Yin's explanation, to be able to let go of all prejudices on a crowded street and kiss. How could Meng Chun still doubt his own heart? Meng Chun was about to kiss Zhong Yin again. Suddenly, two people jumped out, breaking the beautiful atmosphere. The two current boyfriends each rescued their own ex-boyfriend. "What are you kissing for? Get over here." Meng Chun was very dissatisfied with the person grabbing his neck. "Don't you know how much damage you're doing to a couple about to have a passionate kiss?" The ex-boyfriends were caught kissing and hugging by their current boyfriends. Rin Chuan and Jiang Heng quickly jumped out and led their respective ex-boyfriend away. Meng Chun, held in a chokehold by Rin Chuan, was very dissatisfied. "Don't you know how important kissing is for a couple that just cleared up a misunderstanding? Meanwhile, Jiang Hung, looking disappointed, dragged Zhong Yin to the side. He pointed at Meng Chun and scolded angrily. Why are you mixed up with that big scumbag? Do you know that Chuaner worked hard as a deliverman to support him? Not only did he dump Chuaner, but he also caused a huge scene in Chuaner's hospital room. Not far away, Meng Chun looked like he was surrendering. This is so unfair. After hearing Jiang Heng's tirade, Zhong Yin turned and asked Meng Chun grimly, "You were keeping a dog behind my back?" Meng Chun quickly explained that it wasn't true at all. This person really isn't my ex-boyfriend. Halfway through his sentence, his mouth was covered by Ren Chuan, who then told Zhong Yin with a straight face, "Meng Chun was ruthless when he abandoned me. Don't be fooled by his glib tongue." Then he whispered to Meng Chun, "I'm helping you. That person is Jiang Heng's ex-boyfriend, also a scumbag." Meng Chun frowned. "Why use me? I never cheated on you." Then Meng Chun broke free from Ren Chuan's grasp and seriously stated that his Nian was not that kind of person. And falling in love with him was the luckiest moment of my life. How could I fall in love with someone else? Ah Chun, meeting you is my greatest fortune. Baby, darling. Ren Chuan looked at the couple next to them, being disgustingly lovey-dovey, and was furious. Meng Chun, you traitor who forgets friends for a lover. That's enough cuddling, separate. Just then, a gentle voice sounded, can someone explain me what's going on? Only then did the four of them realize they had been too absorbed and had forgotten there was another person. So the four of them fiercely explained the whole story. The young lady listened and thought for a moment, then came to a conclusion. The current boyfriend's ex-boyfriends are both scumbags. Now the two scumbags are dealing with each other internally. There seems to be nothing wrong with that. The four were stunned by this conclusion. What do you mean nothing wrong? There's a lot wrong with it. The scumbags aren't the ex-boyfriends. After her analysis, the girl walked over to Ren Chuan. Instead of worrying about them, you two should speed things up. I'm getting an urge to push your heads together to help. Ren Chuan and Jiang Hung looked at each other, their faces instantly turning red. Ren Chuan was about to say there was no rush. Jiang Heng's voice of denial rang out. That's impossible. I only see Chuaner as a little brother. Instantly, the three of them looked like they'd heard big news. Then they looked at Ren Chuan with sympathetic eyes. Poor, unrequited love. Ren Chuan quickly explained, we're just brothers. But he secretly vowed in his heart, you call me brother now, but later, I'll make you call me Gidge. Jiang Hung, just you wait. After confirming that Ren Chuan was interested, but Jiang Hung was not, everyone quickly shifted the battlefield to Jiang Heng's side. Jiang Hung was full of question marks, thinking he hadn't said anything wrong. The young lady knew her cousin was a dense guy, so she waved her hand, letting the lovey-dovey couple leave first. The two looked at each other, then tacitly slipped away. Ren Chuan angrily wanted to chase after them. Meng Chun, come back. You haven't explained clearly yet. Just as Ren Chuan was about to chase after them, he was suddenly stopped by the young lady. Where are you going? Ren Chuan lowered his head and thought for a long time. He couldn't possibly say he was afraid Meng Chun would get his heart broken and then quit his job. If Meng Chun quit, where would he find such a cheap and useful assistant? Seeing Ren Chuan speechless for a long time, the young lady covered her mouth in horror. You're not thinking of rekindling old flames and becoming the third party, are you? Hearing this, Jiang Hung got anxious. He immediately grabbed Ren Chuan's hands. He pinned him directly against the wall. You're not allowed to go. I have to say, the young lady played this trick beautifully. How ugly could the swimsuit beauty be? It sent Ren Chuan straight to heaven. But why did this angel's back look so familiar? Just then, the angel in white slowly turned around. It was Cui Mingho, holding a large syringe. Ren Chuan's hair stood on end. Damn it, Cui Mingho, you old trickster. Cui Mingho, by the hospital bed, had a dark expression. This bastard was cursing him even in his dreams. It seems he hasn't been tormented enough. 2 hours after the surgery, Ren Chuan slowly woke up. He heard Cui Mingho's voice. Help him put on his pants. When he wakes up, give him some water. Then, no food for a day or two. Let me know when he passes gas. Ren Chuan groggily looked at the serious Cui Mingho. Only then did he remember that the father and daughter duo had angered him so much it triggered his acute appendicitis. He turned his head and saw Jiang Hung helping him put on his pants. His heart warmed for a second. Suddenly, he remembered that when he went into the operating room, he wasn't even wearing underwear. A sense of shame washed over him. Seeing that Ren Chuan was awake, Jiang Hung reached out and placed a hand on his forehead. He asked with concern, Chuan, how are you feeling? Are you uncomfortable anywhere? Good. No fever. Ren Chuan weakly shook his head. I'm fine, just the incision hurts. I have no strength. But in his mind, he was thinking, Jiang Hung saw me completely naked from top to bottom, not a single thing missed. Seeing Ren Chuan in a daze, Jiang Hung leaned over and asked, do you mind me helping you get dressed? Being cornered on the bed, Ren Chuan's face turned red with shyness. Of course I don't mind. I'm actually quite willing. Then he puckered his lips, ready for the upcoming kiss. But Jiang Heng's eyes were only on a glass of water. Why isn't this person following the script? Sigh. I was being sentimental again. I hate this. Jiang Hung picked up the water and touched it to his face. After confirming the temperature was right, he helped Ren Chuan up. Your throat is hoarse. Have some water first. Ren Chuan leaned weakly on Jiang Heng's shoulder. The incision hurt whenever he breathed in, let alone drank water. He could only lick it bit by bit, but he ended up choking while licking it. The coughing pulled at his wound, making it hurt even more. Ren Chuan finally understood how painful it was to be sick. Jiang Hung thoughtfully wiped the water that trickled from the corner of Ren Chuan's mouth. His finger brushed against the soft lips, and the atmosphere instantly warmed up. Their heartbeats collided violently, echoing throughout the room. After a moment, Jiang Hung quickly removed his finger and carefully laid Ren Chuan back on the bed. There, you should get some rest. I'll stay with you. Ren Chuan buried his face in the blanket. Even Cui Mingho, his best friend, had never taken care of him so attentively. But Jiang Hung, whom he hadn't known for long, was so thoughtful. Maybe I should confess. If he agrees, it'll be a happy ending for everyone. If he doesn't, I'll just say I was practicing. I can advance or retreat. After making up his mind, he turned to confess to Jiang Hung. But Jiang Hung was holding an English dictionary, reading it out loud with a serious expression. Ren Chuan was a bit speechless. The words of confession seemed impossible to say now. He thought Jiang Hung was studying for himself, but it turned out to be a lullaby. Because Cui Mingho said the incision pain would make it hard to sleep, so he needed a sleep aid. Looking at the man seriously reading out the words, Ren Chuan clenched his fists in anger. What kind of lullaby consists of English words? Damn it, if I don't get you into bed, I'll take your last name. But Jiang Hung was completely oblivious to Ren Chuan's resistance, and even asked if he could remember it, and if he should read it again. Ren Chuan suppressed his anger and secretly vowed, I'm never speaking English again. 10 days later, in the hospital's public bathroom, Yuan Chuan sat on a stool, mouthing English vocabulary words. Jiang Hung, who was shaving, turned around and praised him. Not bad. Chuaner, you've memorized 12 words in 10 days. Ren Chuan bit into the peach in his hand. Of course, English is my favorite. Jiang Hung said, next time, let's go wash outside the hospital. There are too many people here. Ren Chuan shyly scratched his head. It made us have to squeeze into one stall. And the shower head is broken. Water only comes out of the middle, so we have to stick close to wash. The thought of Jiang Heng's firm and well-built body made him unable to stop his mouth from watering. Just then, Jiang Hung, dressed and ready, walked over and saw the drooling man. Why are you drooling? Ren Chuan awkwardly wiped the drool from the corner of his mouth, explaining, that's not drool. It's juice from the honey peach. It's all that honey peach's fault for being too juicy. One bite, and it sprays everywhere. Jiang Hung frowned and took Ren Chuan's hand. It was indeed covered in liquid. He lowered his head and licked the juice from Ren Chuan's hand. The startled Ren Chuan snatched his hand back, got up, and quickly fled the scene. This guy is clearly straight, yet he flirts so effortlessly. It's a killer. The big CEO had intended to fake a hospitalization to dodge a blind date, but unexpectedly, he was angered into a real illness by the blind date girl. Thanks to Jiang Heng's tireless and meticulous care, Ren Chuan's illness was recovering quickly. Of course, under Jiang Heng's English lullabies, he also memorized quite a few English words. This day, Ren Chuan woke up to find his hospital room was immaculate. He turned his head and only then discovered that his former lower bunk roommate, Song Chiwen, had arrived. Chuana had a look of pleasant surprise. Lao Yao, what are you doing here? The man called Lao Yao was not so pleasantly surprised. Due to his severe mysophobia, he hadn't stopped since stepping into this hospital room early in the morning, busying himself until now. Seeing his good brother had come, Rin Chuan quickly poured out his grievances to him. Thank goodness you still think of me. Meng Chun has fallen head over heels in love. Zhu Kaifeng prioritizes romance over friendship. Since I got sick, my door has been deserted. I can only count the red bricks day by day to pass the time. Song Chiwen, with his hands on his hips, bluntly exposed him. This room has been repainted, so stop acting. Fei Shuen smiled awkwardly. I was singing the praises of brotherhood. How can you call that acting? Unexpectedly, Song Chiwen took out a thick stack of files, adjusted his glasses, and said with a stern face, I'm visiting and working. Here are a few documents that need your approval. Rin Chuan felt bitter. Why can't they just visit him for the sake of visiting? But this was in line with Song Chiwen's title as a workaholic. Rin Chuan took the files, his face written with unhappiness. Suddenly, Song Chiwen pushed out a cart with a rich breakfast from behind him. You can eat while you read. He had been drinking kanji every day since the surgery. At this moment, seeing such a sumptuous breakfast, Rin Chuan's drool had long since flowed to the floor. As expected, his bunkmate brother understood him best. He felt he could never repay such a good brother. Suddenly, an idea struck Rin Chuan. Lao Yao, you're so wifely. Let me introduce you to a wife. The words had just left his mouth when it was covered by Song Chiwen, who feared marriage and children. Please don't use my lifelong affairs to evade work. Rin Chuan drank his milk tea while looking at the documents in his hand. Hearing Song Chiwen say that everything at the company was fine and he should rest and recover, he nodded. I've always been at ease with how you handle things. After folding a handkerchief, Song Chiwen asked Rin Chuan why he had started doing charity. Rin Chuan recalled the various things he had seen in the hospital. Perhaps after spending a long time in this environment, I've developed some feelings in my heart. The ancients often said, a hemp rope breaks at its thinnest point. Misfortune seeks out the ill-fated. There's only one disease in this world, and that is the disease of poverty. He couldn't bear the heavy responsibility of saving the world, but he could help as much as possible. He would consider it as doing good deeds to accumulate virtue. After Rin Chuan finished his long-winded, emotional speech, thought he came back to his senses. The space beside him was already empty. So disrespectful, huh? Suddenly, he heard a scrubbing sound. Following the sound, he saw a certain severe misophobe had already climbed onto the windowsill and was preparing to wash the glass. Lao Yao, what are you doing? Song Chiwen had a serious expression. There's some dust on this glass. Oh my God, this is the 5th floor. Rin Chuan quickly jumped off the bed and hugged Song Chiwen tightly. Don't busy yourself with that. If you fall, what will I do? But Song Chiwen refused, saying he wouldn't leave a single corner untouched today. Rin Chuan was speechless. This is a hospital, big brother. Is it necessary to be so desperate? Seeing that Song Chiwen was determined to wash the glass, Rin Chuan frowned. Are you stupid? This kind of laborious, tiring, and dangerous work, just give it to Meng Chun. Song Chiwen stopped what he was doing, a sly look on his face. Oh, right, let Meng Chun do it. Meng Chun, let me say thank you. Because of you, I've begged through 4 seasons. After coaxing the misophobia demon down from the windowsill, Rin Chuan continued to look at the documents in his hand. Beside him, Song Chiwen's expression was somewhat unusual. Suddenly, with a slap, he pressed his hand on the documents. Our rival. The rival company's boss has also established a foundation. The donation recipients are all in the oncology department. Because of their effective publicity, they've already snatched a project from us. After hearing this, Rin Chuan's eyebrows twitched slightly. Daring to snatch a project from Blackstone? That's like pulling a tooth from a tiger's mouth. What audacity! Song Chiwen adjusted his glasses. Moreover, this company is operated by a professional agent. We can't find the big boss behind it. If this continues, I'm afraid. At this moment, the door to the ward suddenly opened. Jiang Heng strode into the room, full of spirits. Chuaner, have you had breakfast? I ordered roast duck for you. Halfway through his sentence, he noticed there was another person in the room. Jiang Heng's face immediately darkened. Chuaner, who is he? Is this an ex-boyfriend or suitor? Jiang Heng had rushed back, travel-worn, wanting to take Chuaner out for a good meal, only to find an unsightly new face in the room. Rin Chuan was stunned for a moment, then quickly explained, this is Lawyer Song. I'm discussing my will and final affairs with him, and signing an organ donation agreement while I'm at it. Beside them, Song Chiwen was full of question marks. What on earth was Rin Chuan up to? Afraid of giving the game away, he quickly signed the contract without reading it carefully and handed the documents to Song Chuan. Lawyer Song, let's call it a day. Rin Chuan remembered Jiang Heng's message from last night. He had actually forgotten that he said he would be back this morning. Although Song Chuan was full of doubt, he cooperated very well. All right, we'll be in touch by phone. Jiang Heng had imagined 100 identities for Song Chuan, but he never expected him to be a lawyer. Seeing a lawyer at this time, could it be that Chuaner's condition had worsened again? The thought of Rin Chuan wandering at death's door made Jiang Heng's face turn terribly sour. Consequently, he didn't have a pleasant look for the lawyer before him either. Song Chuan took the documents and gave Jiang Heng a polite smile, but inwardly, he wondered why this man had such strong hostility towards him. After walking out of the ward, the smile on Song Chuan's face immediately vanished, and he even let out an impatient tsh. Jiang Heng watched the departing figure, his brow slightly furrowed. It was just a brief encounter, so why did this person give him such an uncomfortable feeling? Song Chuan walked out of the hospital, looking at the signature that was signed without a careful read because of Jiang Heng's interruption. A terrifying and cold expression appeared on his face. This man came at just the right time. I was just worrying about how to stop you from looking at it in detail. Rin Chuan, your good days are coming to an end. At this moment, a light drizzle began to fall from the sky. The driver, holding an umbrella, escorted Song Chuan from the rain back to the car. President Song, where are we going? Song Chuan looked at the documents beside him, then fastened his seatbelt and told the driver to go straight back to the company. In the hospital, Rin Chuan stood by the window and couldn't help but sigh. It was clear skies just a moment ago. How had it changed so suddenly? And this lightning that tore through the sky and the heavy rain that fell from a clear sky seemed to be a premonition of someone's future. Jiang Heng took off his own coat and draped it over Rin Chuan. Go back to bed and rest. Be careful not to catch a cold. Rin Chuan smiled and said he wasn't that delicate, then looked at the weary-faced Jiang Heng with great concern. If something's wrong, tell me. I'll share the burden with you. Jiang Heng shook his head, only saying he had some insomnia and it was nothing serious. However, he had to go on a business trip for a week. The company was pushing some kind of wolf culture to pump everyone up. Rin Chuan knew Jiang Heng was hiding something. Since he was unwilling to say, he wouldn't press the matter. But hearing that Jiang Heng was going for training, making a person with terminal liver cancer participate in brainwashing, this company was too inhumane. Seeing Rin Chuan get angry, Jiang Heng quickly explained that food and lodging during the training were free, which was equivalent to the company paying for a free trip. When Rin Chuan heard this, the fire in his heart immediately subsided. He even encouraged Jiang Heng, you must go. It's a fool who doesn't take advantage of a freebie. The two chatted idly for a while, and he thought Jiang Heng had forgotten about that matter. But in the end, he circled back and brought up Lawyer Song again. Chuan, that Lawyer Song speaks with extraordinary poise. He must be from a high-end law firm, right? Where did you get the money to have him handle your final affairs? Rin Chuan's heart skipped a beat. He shouldn't have chosen a poor deliverman persona in the first place. Playing the part of a poor person is too hard. Can I start over? He didn't fall for you last time, did he? Jiang Heng asked Rin Chuan how he knew that high-end lawyer. Rin Chuan felt bitter and made up a half-true story on the spot. Actually, he was my high school dorm's Lao Yao. He had wanted to honestly say university, but since Jiang Heng asked, he just said high school. Because he was the oldest in the dorm, he took care of the 3 younger brothers in life and studies. Now they're all successful and are helping me out of old friendship. Besides, they're not short on this little bit of money from me. Jiang Heng's heart was finally at ease. But Rin Chuan's doubts arose, because this coat on him was a certain big brand's new spring model. It had to be at least several tens of thousands. It was just on the haute couture show yesterday, and today he's wearing it. Jiang Heng's eyebrows twitched. In the morning, he was only thinking about rushing back to see Chuaner and forgot to change his clothes. He guiltily told Rin Chuan that he met a client last night, and his boss thought he was dressed too plainly and specially lent it to him. After saying that, he even asked Chuaner if he looked good in it. Rin Chuan was completely shocked. Your boss keeps you by his side? A coat worth hundreds of thousands. He just lent it out like that? Your boss doesn't have a crush on you, does he? Just then, the ward door was pushed open. A nurse came in to tell Rin Chuan to get his stitches removed. Jiang Heng, as if granted a new life, quickly pulled Chuaner up. Let's go. I'll go with you. Jiang Hung accompanied Ren Chuan to get his stitches removed and then left for his business trip. Ren Chuan never knew that eating alone could be so lonely. He had only been gone for a day, and he was already starting to miss him at night. He even slept directly on Jiang Heng's hospital bed. It seemed only the scent of his hair on the pillow could suppress the longing in his heart. On the fourth day of Jiang Heng's absence, Yuan Chuan used work to numb himself. Unfortunately, his mind was filled with endless longing for Jiang Heng. A week later, Yuan Chuan was extremely bored and asked his childhood friend to come to the hospital. He also had Meng Chun get him a robot dog. Yuan Chuan asked the dog to oink like a pig, but he was met with the robot dog's grumbling and his childhood friend's merciless ridicule. Just then, Ren Chuan saw Chui Mingho's figure. He wanted to show off. "Old Chui, look at the popular robot dog I bought." Chui Mingho rolled his eyes with a look of disdain. "Jiang Heng is already back. What are you still playing with the dog for? He's in consultation room 4 for a checkup." As soon as Ren Chuan heard Jiang Heng was back, his feet grew wings and he immediately shot out of the ward. "My good sir, I'm not keeping you company anymore. Play by yourself." His childhood friend angrily cursed, "Ren Chuan, you dog. Weren't you the one who called me here?" Ren Chuan, holding the robot dog, hummed a little tune all the way exceptionally happy. Even the dog detected that Ren Chuan's hormones were off the charts. He was thinking about a man. Ren Chuan quickly covered the show dog's mouth. Just then, 2 doctors walked out of consultation room 4, their expressions dejected. They kept shaking their heads and saying it was too late. Ren Chuan's good mood instantly vanished. What did they mean by calling the family? In 2 or 3 steps, he ran to the door and saw the covered hospital bed. The robot dog in his hands fell to the ground with a clang. The person on the bed was Jiang Heng. Could it be that Jiang Heng was dead? It was a huge misunderstanding. It turned out the doctors were saying to call the family to have a meal together, but they couldn't get a reservation, so it was a pity. But Ren Chuan thought his good buddy had gone to see King Yama. Looking at the person with a white cloth covering their head, Ren Chuan couldn't understand it all. He was clearly full of life before, went on a business trip for a week, so how could they be separated by life and death upon his return? In this 1 week, could he have suffered some inhuman torture that accelerated the deterioration of his condition? Ren Chuan's hand trembled as he lifted the white cloth, wanting to take one last look. But when he lifted the cloth, he saw Jiang Heng, who had died with his eyes open. Ren Chuan was so scared he flinched. The expressionless Jiang Heng on the bed slowly turned his head. "Chuan, hey, Shuen stumbled Bekul. A zombie." Only then did Jiang Heng realize what was happening with his Chuaner. So he thought he had kicked the bucket. But at this moment, a terrified, cheating-like Chuaner was actually quite cute. He even knew about peach wood, glutinous rice, and black donkey hooves. He must have read too many novels. So he reached out and pulled the man closer, placing Ren Chuan's hand on his own chest. Feel that? Feeling the strong and powerful beat under his palm, he was alive. Only then did Jiang Heng awkwardly explain that he wanted to take a nap after his checkup, and because he found the light glaring, he pulled the bedsheet over himself. Ren Chuan worriedly asked Jiang Heng if he was preparing for liver cancer surgery. Jiang Heng gave a dry laugh and said he wanted conservative treatment and didn't want a piece of his flesh cut out. In his heart, however, he was debating whether he should actually go into the operating room to keep up the lie. Suddenly, Ren Chuan reached out and hugged Jiang Heng tightly, comforting him. "Even if you're missing a piece of flesh, I won't dislike you. After all, the liver isn't linked to that." Jiang Heng, with a serious face, took Ren Chuan's hand. "Chuaner, you're touching the kidney. The liver is a little higher up." Ren Chuan turned his head and fumbled around again. "I know the liver is here." Jiang Heng was a bit helpless. His liver must have really sagged to be next to his kidney. But Jiang Heng didn't know that Ren Chuan was actually feeling his abs and V-line. It was truly making his face flush and his heart race. Suddenly, Jiang Heng lifted his shirt, completely exposing his abdomen. Ren Chuan thought Jiang Heng had seen through his thoughts, but it turned out that the little red flower daddy's classroom was in session. As a cancer patient, you must have a comprehensive understanding of your body structure. Come, find the organs with me. Ren Chuan was speechless. Just then, a doctor stormed in angrily with a dog. "Where's the dog's owner?" Who let you bring a dog into the hospital? Rinchuan quickly explained, it's fake. It's a simulation toy. Just then, the show dog spoke up. Correct. The master is the real dog. Jiang Heng was a bit sheepish. This dog was a new technology developed by his company. He had originally planned to give one to Chuaner, but he didn't expect him to have already bought one. Rin Chuan was just thinking of sharing his newly bought toy puppy with his husband, but when he pressed the start switch, the little dog shot off like a 100-meter dash, stunning Rin Chuan. Show dog, did you install a rocket? Why are you flying so fiercely? The show dog completely ignored its daddy's call, mustering all its strength to leap and jump around the ward, happily unable to stop. Finally, it played until its battery was exhausted, then fell to the ground with a thud. Its daddy was so scared he shrank into a corner. Jiang Heng calmly got up, picked up the completely dead show dog from the floor, and carefully inspected it. He confidently told his wife it malfunctioned. It was probably caused by improper operation before. Rinchuan was surprised. Improper operation? I don't think so. Suddenly, he remembered his childhood friend Zhu Kaifeng giving the show dog a cigarette to smoke, and he was even particularly proud of it. Rinchuan, look, your son can even smoke. Damn it. It must have been that bastard Zhu Kaifeng's doing. Yesterday, he had adjusted it according to the manual and thought it had returned to normal. As Rinchuan was thinking about how to get even with Zhu Kaifeng, he heard Jiang Heng's confident guarantee, leave it to me. It's a small problem. After saying that, he stripped the show dog clean and began to seriously repair its internal parts. The sound and light of the soldering, as well as his professional attire, showed that Jiang Heng had developed a new skill. Even Rinchuan was watching and clapping in praise. With such professional technique, he never expected his husband to be an electronics expert. This husband is truly too reliable. While Yuan Chuan was still lost in admiration for his excellent husband, Jiang Heng had already repaired the dog. Chuan, you keep this robot dog well. It will definitely appreciate and value in the future. That way, you won't have to work so hard delivering food. Yuan Chuan was puzzled. How was Jiang Heng so sure the show dog would appreciate and value? Only then did Jiang Heng realize he had exposed himself again. He quickly said that his boss knew the manufacturer, and production would be stopped due to a lawsuit. He finally saved himself with a roundabout explanation. He handed the infatuated dog in his hands to Rin Chuan, relieved. It's fine, it's all resolved. Rin Chuan held the infatuated dog, his face full of confusion. What's resolved? He managed to get out of it with a roundabout explanation. So why did he bring it up again? Hearing Chuaner's worried tone, he spoke too quickly and revealed the company's situation. So Jiang Heng had to once again use a roundabout way to save the situation, lying to Chuaner that he got a bonus from his business trip and could treat him to duck. Rin Chuan was indeed a simpleton. When it came to food, the doubts in his heart were instantly thrown to the back of his mind. He even said that Jiang Heng's money was hard-earned, and he should save it for his surgery fee. He still had 500 in savings in his card, which was definitely enough for a meal. To celebrate their first day living together, that little vixen Zhong Yin not only prepared a cake and red wine, but also covered the room with flower petals. Zhong Yin even presented himself as a gift, lying sideways on the sofa, his shirt messily scattered and half covering him, exuding a seductive, devilish aura. Meng Chun had long been drooling. His lover looked absolutely soul-stirring. In a flash, he stripped himself clean and pounced directly towards Zhong Yin. Baby, I'm coming. Get ready for a 3-day, 3-night battle. Who would have thought that just as the two were about to ignite their passion, Meng Chun's phone rang. The boss is being cremated. The boss is being cremated. Meng Chun, with the professionalism of a wage earner, had no choice but to stop and answer the phone. Baby, wait for me a second. Suddenly, Zhong Yin got up and wrapped his arms around Meng Chun from behind, getting close. He blew a breath of hot air by his ear. Hubby, is there anything more important than our great life harmony? Meng Chun was teased by Zhong Yin until his heart itched unbearably. But as a wage earner, how could he not answer his boss's call? Seeing Meng Chun still struggling to endure, Zhong Yin simply flipped over and pinned him down on the sofa, continuing to seduce and bewitch him. Don't talk, hubby. Seeing a chance for advancement, it's too late to escape now. Meng Chun thought for a moment and quickly pushed Zhong Yin away. The boss asked me to buy something for him. I have to go. Zhong Yin was a little angry. What thing is so important that you have to go buy it now? Meng Chun's lips twitched slightly. a fried chicken wing. In his heart, he was thinking, for a damn chicken wing, not only do I not get any action, but I also made my lover angry. Afterward, Meng Chun, fully geared up, angrily knocked on the ward door. The moment he opens the door, I'm quitting. I really don't want to serve this damn boss for another second. No, before I resign, I must beat this bastard up. Otherwise, I can't vent the anger in my heart. Just then, the door opened. Rin Chuan happily praised Meng Chun. Well done. You even knew to change into the little blue uniform. Meng Chun unceremoniously threw the fried chicken at Rin Chuan. You wanted one chicken wing. I'm giving you an extra one. No need to thank me. Then, he shoved a basket of various dipping sauces and seasonings at him. All the sauces you wanted. And a bottle of old Jiangxi vinegar. Meng Chun had run around to all the import supermarkets to collect these sauces. After speaking, Meng Chun frowned, his face serious. I am now formally notifying you that Before he could finish, he heard Rin Chuan say, that was really hard work. I'll give you 3 days off. The man who wanted to fire his boss a second ago was, in the next second, moved to tears. Boss, you finally acted like a human for once. A 3-day vacation. He could take his lover to Bali for a holiday, drinking juice and sunbathing. His lover probably wouldn't be angry anymore. When it comes to the boss who most loves to ruin an employee's private time, Rin Chuan is undoubtedly the one. The young couple was just about to warm up the bed when Rin Chuan's phone call ruined the good mood. And Meng Chun, as a subordinate full of professional ethics, had no choice but to hit the brakes. He turned around to become the boss's little blue knight. Rin Chuan probably felt he had gone a bit too far and quickly used a 3-day vacation to appease the on the verge of quitting Meng Chun. Rin Chuan cheerfully walked into the room with the chicken wings. But Jiang Hung was full of question marks, seriously pointing at the small pendant next to Rin Chuan. Chuaner, is this little child your daughter? Rin Chuan looked down and saw the little Lolita beside him. Startled, he quickly denied it. She's not mine. Seeing the little Lolita staring intently at the chicken wings in his hand, Rin Chuan guessed the child wanted to eat the chicken wings. So he held the wings like he was teasing a cat, making the little girl's head shake back and forth. Jiang Hung was probably a doting father type. Seeing the child's pitiful look, he couldn't sit still. He stepped forward and seriously commanded Yuan Chuan, give her some to eat right now. Rin Chuan was speechless. It was the first time he had seen such an impatient Jiang Hung. He quickly broke off a piece of chicken wing and gave it to the little Lolita, his eyes full of doting affection. Go on, eat up. What a little cutie. The little one's eyes lit up when she got the chicken wing. Then, she was exceptionally polite. Thank you, handsome uncle and cool big brother. Jiang Heng's expression was incredibly hurt. Am I an uncle? But I'm only a little older than you. Rin Chuan couldn't help but giggle. Little kids don't lie. So, hello, Uncle Jiang. He had originally thought of having Meng Chun buy one chicken wing so the two of them could share one and have an indirect kiss. But looking at the chicken wing Jiang Hung handed over, which was coated in 10 layers of sauce, he thought he should have bought one of each kind to let Jiang Hung eat his fill. However, he couldn't resist Jiang Heng's repeated offers and finally took the chicken wing. The thought of an indirect kiss made Rin Chuan's face unconsciously turn red. He took a bite. This chicken wing tastes so weird. Jiang Hung watched the person feasting and worried in his heart. Chuan only has 500 left. How will he get by in the coming days? Because of the trouble at the company, he wouldn't be able to stay by his side much longer. How could he let him live his final days to the fullest and with peace of mind? The next morning, he was forcibly woken up to memorize vocabulary again. Yuan Chuan fell exhausted. My incision has already scabbed over. I don't need to memorize vocabulary anymore, right? But Jiang Hung said seriously, the two have no connection. The adult exam is coming up. We have to hurry. Hearing this, Rin Chuan felt like dying. So this was a pit he had dug for himself. He shouldn't have said they should take the exam together in the first place. Just then, the ward door opened. The little girl from yesterday appeared at the doorway. When Rin Chuan asked her a question, she quickly hid behind the door again. Rin Chuan quickly pulled Jiang Hung towards the door. Let's not review for now. Come with me. He opened the door. The little girl was indeed at the doorway. Seeing Rin Chuan's gentle smile, the little one finally said in a sweet, childish voice that she wanted to take the big brother and uncle to see her toys. Jiang Hung was truly a doting father type. Before the little one could finish, he had already scooped her up into his arms. You point the way, and I'll carry you, okay? The little one snuggled in Jiang Heng's arms, smiling exceptionally sweetly. In a short while, the three of them arrived at the place place the little girl mentioned. But what they saw was a complete mess and a volunteer who had fainted on the ground. The little one had brought the two of them to the foundation's aid site. Although they had each established their own foundations, this was the first time they had come to the site. The children here all liked them very much, and the two of them also had a great time playing with the children. Yuan Chuan was even praised by the children for being very handsome. Several little girls even said they wanted to marry the handsome Ren Chuan. Just then, a volunteer from the foundation walked in and asked who the two were, saying they looked a bit familiar. Ren Chuan picked up a hat from the table and put it on his head, obediently hiding to one side. He couldn't let them recognize him as the president of the Ninjiang Foundation. And Jiang Heng was also afraid of being recognized. But Jiang Heng was smarter. He found a child's mask and put it on. This way, his cover as the president of the Yichuan Foundation wouldn't be blown. Jiang Heng even came to ask Ren Chuan if he looked good dressed like this. Unexpectedly, Ren Chuan's face quietly turned red, and his mind filled with some lewd thoughts. He never thought that the straight-laced, old-fashioned Jiang Heng would actually be very suitable for cosplay. Just then, a chubby little boy was snatching everyone's toys. Jiang Heng, without a word, went up and snatched it back. His fierce appearance directly scared the little brat into trembling. And the straight-laced Jiang Heng thought he had gently tamed another little brat. The chubby kid, having lost the battle with Jiang Heng, turned his attention to Ren Chuan's side. Just as he was about to approach and kick Ren Chuan's stool, the little girl quickly stepped forward to stop him, blocking him in front of Ren Chuan. She told the chubby kid in a sweet, childish voice not to bully her big brother. "We are all friends." Seeing his intentions exposed, the chubby kid picked up a teddy bear from the table and angrily threw it at the little girl, not forgetting to curse at her. "What's it to you? You're clearly a boy, yet you like to wear wigs and dresses. You're just an ugly freak." Pitter-patter, bright red liquid dripped onto the floor. Ren Chuan handed over a tissue and told the child to tilt their head back to stop the bleeding, but he was sternly stopped by Jiang Heng, who told Ren Chuan to quickly call a doctor. Looking at the clumps of tissue on the floor soaked red with blood, Jiang Heng already had a rough idea of the cause in his heart. The chubby kid was also scared, but he was still stubborn, insisting he wasn't wrong and that it was Yutong who provoked him first. Because the bleeding wouldn't stop, Yutong was lying on a hospital bed again. Ren Chuan and Jiang Heng looked on with worried faces through the glass. They never expected Yutong to have leukemia. But this child was also kind, only saying that they fell and never mentioning being hit by the toy. Just then, a doctor came in to collect a bone marrow biopsy specimen. Yutong was so scared they burrowed into their father's arms. A bone marrow biopsy involves extracting a bone marrow sample through a puncture, and the process is excruciatingly painful. Yutong was a sensible child. In order not to sadden their father, even though they were terrified, they obediently let the doctor take the sample without crying or making a fuss. It was a heart-wrenching sight. They even turned back to comfort their father. "It's okay. I don't feel any pain at all." The long needle in the doctor's hand slowly pierced in. The child's whole body trembled, and they let out a muffled grunt. The father's heart ached, but he was helpless and could only turn his head to the side, unable to watch any longer. Ren Chuan looked at the child, who was clenching his jaw with tears streaming down his face. A mix of emotions flooded his heart. As if having made some kind of decision, he suddenly turned and left the treatment room. Jiang Heng didn't stop him. Who wouldn't feel upset seeing such a scene? After Ren Chuan left, Jiang Heng took out his phone. Using his influence, he had his subordinates search the International Bone Marrow Registry. The chances would be greater this way. In a park by a lake somewhere, a handsome young man holding a newspaper said with a serious expression, "I'll arrange it right away. There's one more thing to report to you. This recent property rights dispute is indeed related to the main family. However, the family head must be using a newcomer. We can't find any information on them." After hearing this, Jiang Heng's brow furrowed. That person has indeed started to make a move. He then instructed the person on the other end of the line to continue lying low in the main family, to hold their position, and to be careful not to expose their identity. Hanging up the phone, Jiang Heng had a rough idea of the situation. This property rights dispute was likely just the beginning. He needed to get back quickly. Just as he reached the elevator, he heard Ren Chuan's voice Annie, please let me go. Jiang Hung was full of question marks. He walked out to see Rin Chuan struggling with an Annie. Jiang Hung was puzzled. What kind of request did the Annie make for him to be so resistant? Just as he was about to go over and ask, he saw the Annie take out a photo of a beautiful woman. Just take a look. I guarantee you'll like her. Rin Chuan felt so bitter. He came to the hospital to hide from matchmaking, only to be forced into it again in the hospital. Suddenly seeing Jiang Hung, Rin Chuan frantically rushed over to him for help. Jiang Hung, save me. The auntie, not giving up, kept praising the woman in the photo to Rin Chuan. She even said the woman and Rin Chuan looked like a destined couple and would surely grow old together. Rin Chuan hid behind Jiang Hung, trembling. The Annie wasn't like those ruffians. He couldn't be too harsh with his rejection. Suddenly, Rin Chuan had a flash of inspiration. He grabbed Jiang Heng's wrist and leaned against him gently. Annie Zhao, do you think we look like a couple? The Annie was clearly startled, her expression changing again and again. Then she covered her mouth and laughed loudly. Two young men together? Stop joking with me, Andy. Only then did Rin Chuan realize how absurd his decision had been. The current mindset couldn't accept strange people who come out. He quickly said he was just joking. Jiang Hung, for some reason, felt a little unhappy hearing Rin Chuan say it was just a joke. He reached out, wrapped his arm around Rin Chuan's waist, and told the Annie that love is not about gender. Being truly in love is what's most important. So thank you for your kind intentions, but Chuaner already has me. Just when Rin Chuan thought Jiang Hung had finally come to his senses, Jiang Hung secretly asked if his acting was convincing. Only then did Rin Chuan realize he had been fooled by this damned acting again. Pigs would fly before he came to his senses. The Annie was so scared by Jiang Heng's intimate gesture that she kept backing away. Neither her mind nor her beliefs could accept it. She was still trying to confirm with Rin Chuan if what Jiang Hung said was true. Rin Chuan knew that coming out in public would not have a good outcome. He quickly explained to the Annie that this was also a joke and she shouldn't take it seriously. Seeing Rin Chuan repeatedly deny it, Jiang Hung suddenly felt a tightness in his chest. Wasn't Chuaner trying to refuse the matchmaking? This could help him out of the situation. So why did he have to deny it? As soon as the Annie was gone, he was met with Jiang Heng's serious questioning. Why did you deny it? Or are you saying you actually want to go on the blind date? The thought of Rin Chuan publicly denying their relationship made Jiang Hung very unhappy. Rin Chuan had just fallen for Jiang Heng's acting. Facing Jiang Heng's questioning now, he didn't think too much of it. He probably was just simply curious why he refused. So Rin Chuan told Jiang Hung that he was already bent like a mosquito coil and could never be straightened out in this lifetime. But Jiang Hung, you've had boyfriends before. You definitely understand the reasons why. It's incredibly difficult. This kind of thing isn't accepted or approved of by society. Coming out in public would have a huge negative impact on one's career in life. Unless you're afraid of nothing and just charge forward, not turning back even if you hit a wall until you break through that wall. After hearing Rin Chuan's explanation, Jiang Hung, who had never had a boyfriend, was filled with heartache. He had always been pretending, so naturally, he didn't know about the social pressure. But Chuaner, he had been facing this kind of discrimination and hurt all along. The thought that everyone isolated and disliked Chuaner just because he was different from others. Seeing Jiang Heng's expression, Rin Chuan couldn't help but question if Jiang Hung was really gay. How did he not even know this? Could it be that he had gotten the wrong idea from the very beginning? Jiang Hung was startled, almost blowing his cover. He quickly lowered his head guiltily and said in a small voice, I am. Rin Chuan breathed a sigh of relief. That's good. Otherwise, all his previous efforts would have been wasted on the wrong person. He suddenly realized he had been about to explain his wild thoughts, but Jiang Hung hadn't heard him at all. Jiang Hung unconsciously tugged at his collar and asked Rin Chuan if he felt stuffy. Rin Chuan pointed directly at the nearby window. We're standing by the window. How could it be stuffy? Did you catch a cold from the draft? Jiang Hung didn't speak, keeping his head down and tightly gripping his collar. Why did he feel so incredibly hot whenever he saw Chuaner? After the misunderstanding was cleared up, Jiang Hung was in a wonderful mood and even pulled Chuaner along to visit Yutong. Rin Chuan looked at the listless little boy on the hospital bed, his brow clouded with worry. Ever since the bone marrow biopsy, Yutong had been listless. How could he get him to smile more? Suddenly, Rin Chuan had a flash of inspiration. He asked Yutong if he had any birthday wishes. Perhaps all children look forward to their birthdays. Yutong was a little surprised by Rin Chuan's words, but he soon began to gesture excitedly, acting out his birthday wishes. He wanted to eat a big cake, wear a beautiful princess dress, ride in a pumpkin carriage, and then live happily ever after with a prince. After dreaming of all this, Yutong's expression became extremely sad. After he got sick, his dad had it too hard, always taking him to see doctors everywhere. Where would they get the money to celebrate a birthday? I won the lottery. 100,000, maybe 70 or 80, 50 or 60,000 or 10,000. 10,000 is enough. Jiang Hung, we can make his wish come true. We can even throw a super big birthday party and invite everyone in the hospital. Hearing that Rin Chuan had won the lottery, Jiang Hung lowered his head and thought. He had originally planned to use the lottery as an excuse himself. Did Chuaner really win, or was he just putting on a brave face? Jiang Hung saw how happy Rin Chuan was. Before, it was about a will, and now it had become a wish. He sighed deeply. He made up his mind. He would go through mountains of knives and seas of fire with Rin Chuan to the very end. Then he looked up, a little embarrassed. I just inherited from a distant aunt who had no children. The inheritance is bits and pieces, probably around 10,100. After hearing this, Rin Chuan and Yutong's faces lit up. That's a huge sum of money. A whole 100 yuan more than me. Despite Rin Chuan's surprised expression, he was actually quite sad inside. His relative's entire inheritance was so little, not even a house. It seems his entire family isn't wealthy. Before Rin Chuan could finish being happy, Jiang Hung suddenly stood up and hugged him tightly. Tell me whatever wish you have. I'll even pluck the moon from the sky for you. This heartfelt confession moved Rin Chuan so much he was a mess of tears, just short of hugging him and bawling his eyes out. Fortunately, Rin Chuan stopped himself in time. What Jiang Hung felt for him wasn't love. He let go of his hand. Rin Chuan, blushing, looked at Jiang Hung earnestly. You have to live well. No matter what, you can't die before me. Jiang Hung was incredibly moved and wanted to hug him again, but Rin Chuan turned and picked up the child. Jiang Heng's hands could only stop awkwardly in midair. Looking at Rin Chuan's moving smile, Jiang Heng's expression became dark and unreadable. That person was twisted and unscrupulous. He had once stewed his most beloved puppy into a soup and forced him to drink it. Now that he was grown up, he would face whatever that person wanted to do to the very end. But he absolutely could not let Chuaner get involved. Rin Chuan invited Jiang Hung to pick out clothes for the birthday party together. Jiang Hung saw a folder on the desktop named Study Materials. He wanted to see what his Chuaner was studying. But when he clicked it open, it was all sorts of fancy two-person gymnastics. Rin Chuan was flustered and at a loss. It wasn't me, I didn't do it. Then he slammed the laptop shut. I'm a person with a sense of propriety. Jiang Hung nodded. You have a very large sense of propriety. Suddenly, Rin Chuan remembered Zhu Kaifeng from a few days ago, staring at the computer and giggling foolishly. It must have been that troublemaker's doing. Just then, Cui Mingho pushed open the door and saw a position not suitable for children. This is a children's activity room. If you want to do that, go to your own hospital room. Also, Rin Chuan, your bone marrow typing results are out. It's not a match. Hearing about a bone marrow match, Jiang Hung instantly lost his composure and angrily questioned Rin Chuan. Are you not clear about your own condition? You have terminal stomach cancer, and you're still going for a bone marrow test? Seeing Jiang Heng's attitude, Rin Chuan knew that Jiang Hung was truly angry. He swallowed hard. This lie couldn't go on. He should just confess. Just as he opened his mouth, Cui Mingho's voice came from the doorway. Rin Chuan registered for the bone marrow donation before his cancer diagnosis. Rin Chuan wailed internally, My dear buddy, you've really helped me out this time. Such a good opportunity to confess was just ruined by his good buddy. Then, Cui Mingho looked at Rin Chuan with a disgusted expression. I have to do my rounds in 10 minutes. Brush your teeth and wash your hands before you come find me. Otherwise, you're not allowed in the room. He was so angry he was hopping mad. Cui Mingho, you bastard. Who's 10 minutes? I can charge for 5 minutes and talk for 2 hours. I'm your brother. Don't worry. I absolutely won't have any improper thoughts about you. After Jiang Hung finished speaking, he saw that Rin Chuan, who had been happy a second ago, now had a face so dark that water could drip from it. Rin Chuan hadn't expected it either. He had jokingly asked if he liked him, and this guy managed to hit a major sore spot with precision. And it wasn't over. He went on to say that he wasn't against being in a relationship relationship, but focusing on getting better should be the priority. Rin Chuan really wanted to curse him out. How could Jiang Hung be so dense? But Rin Chuan could only vent his anger on the air pump in his hand. Calling me brother this and brother that all day. Are you a mother hen? As Rin Chuan's anger grew, the balloon in his hand exploded as expected. Jiang Hung quickly stood up and covered Rin Chuan's ears. Are you okay? Be careful. Rin Chuan looked at the balloon that had exploded in his hand, leaving not even a fragment behind. He asked Jiang Hung in a low voice, "We've been together for so long. Do you really not have even a single improper thought about me?" Jiang Hung stroked his chin. Chuaner was indeed a very important person, but the deeper their bond, the more danger he would be in. He could only treat him as a younger brother and fulfill his duty in these final days. After thinking for a long while, he finally spoke slowly. Does wanting to inherit your estate count? Rin Chuan's mouth twitched. Seeing Rin Chuan's stony face, Jiang Hung quickly explained that he didn't want the money. Your food delivery gear counts too. Rin Chuan couldn't bear it any longer. He yelled at Jiang Hung, "Stop talking. I'm here in the hospital every day eating with you and sleeping with you. It's all been like playing a lute to a cow." After speaking, he even grabbed a nearby ox head mask and put it on Jiang Hung. Not just any old riffraff can inherit my estate. After saying this, he got up and left in a huff. Jiang Hung sat on the floor, quietly apologizing to his retreating back. On the day of the birthday party, Jiang Hung transformed into a super handsome officer, walking in while holding Yutong's hand. Yutong's father also brought longevity noodles. Yutong happily showed off his long dress to his father, saying that his big brothers bought it for him. Just then, Rin Chuan, transformed into a handsome pirate captain, made a magnificent entrance. Hand over all your gold, silver, treasures, and the princess. After speaking, Rin Chuan reached up and tugged at his collar. It's been a long time since I've worn clothes this tight. Jiang Hung stared at the collarbone, faintly visible beneath the collar, and his cheeks slowly turned red. He reached up to cover his wildly beating heart. This feeling was so strange, and Chuaner hadn't spoken to him for 27 hours and 58 minutes. Watching Rin Chuan happily interacting with the children over there, Jiang Heng's brow furrowed slightly. He had to use tonight's birthday party to make up with him and be on good terms again. Rin Chuan sensed Jiang Heng's gaze and deliberately made many flirtatious and handsome gestures. Sure enough, Jiang Heng's heart began to beat faster, and he also felt his body grow hot. Actually, the costume Rin Chuan had originally ordered wasn't this one. It was only after hearing a nurse say that Jiang Hung was wearing a Navy uniform that he quickly contacted Meng Chun to change it. Meng Chun was so angry, he was practically pedaling the sewing machine until it smoked. That guy only knew how to exploit him. The mermaid stood us up. That's the most anticipated performance of the birthday party. Rin Chuan quickly called Meng Chun, his voice a mix of coaxing and threatening. "Chun, you need to come to the hospital right now. Otherwise, your little bonus will be gone." On the other end of the line, Meng Chun was lying in bed, his cheeks flushed. Beside him, a middle-aged man was wearing bunny ears and holding a feather, continuously teasing Meng Chun's body with it. "Sorry, I'm not in a state where I can leave immediately. I really can't." Rin Chuan was about to threaten him a bit more when he heard all sorts of affected sounds coming from the other end of the line. Rin Chuan was speechless and quickly hung up the phone. This guy was a lost cause. Just as he hung up, Lil Yutong's voice sounded from behind him. "Brother Rin Chuan, is the mermaid not coming?" Rin Chuan guiltily denied it. He even told Yutong that the mermaid encountered some polluted river water and had to change her route, but she would be here soon. Yutong was overjoyed. For a moment, he saw Rin Chuan nodding with tears streaming down his face. He picked up the liqueur from the table and took 2 big gulps. It's better to rely on yourself than on others. A moment later, a mermaid was sitting on a reef, singing happily and interacting cheerfully with the children from time to time. In the audience, Chui Mingho did a spit take that went flying. On stage, Rin Chuan saw Chui Mingho's expression and secretly swore that one day he would make him wear women's clothing too. Looking at the packed audience below, Rin Chuan realized that a familiar figure was missing. Why hadn't Jiang Hung come? The audience below was having a great time, cheering and shouting in agreement. Chui Mingho even took out his phone to record. On stage, to avoid leaving the children with a traumatic memory, Rin Chuan used every trick in the book. The big octopus behind him danced with all its might. The performance was almost over, and he still hadn't seen any sign of Jiang Hung. Suddenly, Rin Chuan swayed twice and nearly fell off the stage. Fortunately, the quick-eyed and nimble-handed octopus caught him. Rin Chuan held his dizzy head. Why was he feeling a little dizzy? In the end, he had to trouble the octopus next to him to take him back. The alcohol was getting to Rin Chuan's head. He ripped the fishtail off his legs, revealing his long, sexy legs. Then he slung his arm over the octopus's shoulder and walked happily toward the hospital room. On the way, he even asked the octopus if he was in a relationship. When he heard the octopus say that his partner could be male or female, he couldn't help but offer a reminder. Don't go for a straight guy. They're like a fortress of red walls and iron ramparts. You can't break in. Back in the hospital room, Rin Chuan flopped onto the bed and started talking nonsense. Giving him the cold shoulder makes me feel bad too, but he's like a stone that you can't warm up. Jiang Heng took off the head of the costume and came to the bedside. Rin Chuan turned over and opened his hazy eyes. Jiang Heng, you're here. Jiang Heng worriedly asked Rin Chuan if he felt uncomfortable anywhere or if he felt like throwing up. But Rin Chuan shot up, grabbed Jiang Heng's collar. I've expressed my feelings so clearly. Even an idiot could understand it. Why do you have to pretend you don't get it? Jiang Heng sighed. I don't want us to reach a point where we can't even be brothers. As soon as he finished speaking, Rin Chuan pushed Jiang Heng straight down. I never wanted to be brothers with you from the start. After speaking, he leaned down. We'll skip the details since people don't like them. Jiang Heng felt Rin Chuan's intense offensive. He grabbed Rin Chuan's wrist and flipped him over to get on top. He lowered his head and continued to explore. After a long while, he pulled away, still wanting more, and asked in a low voice, Chuan, can I? He waited for a moment, but there was no reaction from the person beneath him. Jiang Heng got up, only to see that the person who had set him on fire had actually fallen asleep. This has been updated to the latest chapter. We hope everyone likes the new manhwa. The ever-advancing Chuaner confesses with the help of alcohol, his mermaid costume dazzling Jiang Heng's eyes. Faced with Chuaner's forceful takedown, Jiang Heng ultimately couldn't resist the temptation, switching their positions and preparing to display his masculine prowess. But it turned out his wife underneath him had fallen asleep. You can't just flirt with someone and not take responsibility. It seems the car doors weren't welded shut. Jiang Heng rolled over to lie on his side and sighed helplessly. That deadly person almost made him unable to hit the brakes. It's hard to know if Jiang Heng was lamenting that he didn't continue or sighing that he hit the brakes in time. After sighing, Jiang Heng instantly turned into a wife-staring demon, feeling that Chuaner at this moment was more beautiful than at any other time. He was also reflecting in his heart whether his response just now was a momentary impulse or what his heart truly desired. Just then, the phone in his pocket rang. Jiang Heng quickly answered, afraid the ringtone would wake his sleeping wife. He pulled the blanket up to cover his wife properly. Only then did he take the phone and prepare to step out. Before leaving, he didn't forget to look back one more time. After gently closing the door behind him, Jiang Heng quietly asked the other party, how is the investigation going? That person is a direct subordinate of the family head, just like me. According to the information he sent back, your location has been exposed and you may be under surveillance. You should leave the hospital as soon as possible. After his heart surgery 3 months ago, Jiang Heng had been recuperating in the hospital. He even had Zhong Yin specifically transfer him to the oncology department, using the information of another man with the same name to confuse pursuers and buy time. He never expected that not long after he was admitted, he would meet Chuaner. His brilliant smile was deeply etched in his heart. Jiang Heng confirmed some information with the person on the other end of the line. He also knew that his father's people were the type to be unscrupulous to achieve their goals. The only solution was to strike first. When Jiang Heng heard that his father was investigating Rin Chuan, his face immediately darkened. He ordered the person on the other end of the line to pay close attention to any moves the main family made against Rin Chuan. And report back at the first opportunity. After hanging up the phone, Jiang Heng was caught in a dilemma. How was he going to explain the illness he had casually fabricated to Chuaner? Would Chuaner be angry if he knew the truth? But he had no choice but to leave. Jiang Heng struggled daily over how to bring it up. However, he never imagined that their adopted godson from the hospital, Yutong, would suddenly pass away. Rin Chuan and Jiang Heng held a funeral for Yutong. Yutong's father, however, wanted to return to his hometown in the countryside. Rin Chuan repeatedly tried to persuade him to stay, even saying he could introduce him to a job. But no matter how Rin Chuan tried to keep him, Yutong's father was still determined to take Yutong's ashes back to the countryside, and he urged Rin Chuan and Jiang Heng to cooperate with their treatments and be sure to live happily. Rin Chuan's expression was sorrowful at this moment, but he seemed to see his own life and death parting with Jiang Heng. The loving assistant couple were causing a huge scene in the supermarket. The reason was that after seeing Yutong pass away, Rin Chuan thought about how Jiang Heng would soon be the same, so he proposed a trip to Tibet together. Jiang Heng was just worrying about how to make up for his departure. Hearing his wife proactively suggest a trip, he agreed immediately. Thus, the task of preparing travel supplies fell to their respective long-suffering assistants. Zhong Yin used the excuse of company dinner, and Meng Chun used the excuse of having to work. But a short while later, the two of them ran into each other at the supermarket, and it was in the family planning aisle. Both of them were holding a box of condoms. The scene was so awkward you could curl your toes. Zhong Yin saw the brand in his husband's hand. It wasn't the one they usually used at all. Meng Chun saw the one in his wife's hand and was also puzzled, as it wasn't his size. And so, both of them were guessing who the other was buying it for. Meng Chun stuffed the item into his bag and told his wife he was buying it for his boss. After hearing this, Zhong Yin became even more unhappy, sarcastically taunting Meng Chun. "You're on really good terms with your boss, having you buy such private things for him." Meng Chun didn't answer, but instead asked his wife with a somber expression who he was buying this for. Zhong Yin huffed and turned his head away, angrily stating that he didn't need to report every single thing, did he? After hearing this, Meng Chun quickly said that they both needed their personal space and didn't need to get to the bottom of every single thing, but being sincere with each other was a matter of principle. Well, that did it. Zhong Yin only heard the words personal space. He slapped his husband's hand away. "Since you want personal space, we might as well break up sooner rather than later. Then you can go out and do whatever you want." The moment Meng Chun heard break up, he panicked. "Can you just say something like that? Do you even have me in your heart?" With those words, that the great war of digging up old scores was triggered. They remembered the month, the day, and the incident with perfect clarity. And so, the two of them staged a chaotic war of words right there in the supermarket. After coming out with their things, Meng Chun said in a fit of pique that he wasn't going home tonight and needed to cool down at the office. He thought his wife would give him an easy way out, but his wife flew into a rage, telling him to never come back. Both of them knew in their hearts that this fight was absurd, but neither was willing to be the first to bow their head and turn back, while inwardly praying the other would offer a way out. When all was said and done, wasn't it all their possessive boss's fault? "Your luggage was paid for with my love life." Meng Chun walked into the hospital room, carrying a backpack even bigger than himself, so tired his cheeks were sunken. Rin Chuan was dressed with extra spirit today. As expected, people who are about to go on a date and a trip are just different. Meng Chun took the backpack off his shoulders and dropped it on the floor with a loud thud. Even his boss couldn't help but flinch twice. Rin Chuan was startled and praised. "Wow, you prepared the luggage quite thoroughly." Meng Chun was in tears. "How could it not be complete? I traded my love life for this." Rin Chuan's lips twitched as he wished Meng Chun a happy breakup. Meng Chun cried even harder. Rin Chuan quickly consoled him. "Don't cry. Come back to the company for a meeting with me. How about overtime pay of one of your annual salary?" After hearing this, Meng Chun wanted to just lie down and play dead on the spot. It was only 0.5 more than last year. How great. But with his baby gone, who would he earn money for? Rin Chuan held Meng Chun back and thoughtfully served up some cynical advice. "Without the sour stench of love, you still have the fragrance of money. I'll add another 0.5 for you. Can't go any higher." As soon as Rin Chuan finished, Meng Chun rolled his eyes. "That's easy for you to say. Then why can't you let go of Jiang Heng?" Rin Chuan was instantly choked speechless. After leaving the hospital, Jiang Heng had persuaded his business partners to deal with his father together. Jiang Heng understood that his father's recent series of actions were nothing more than an attempt to force him to return and to enter the domestic market at the same time. How could he let him have his way? Ever since he broke away from the family and changed his surname, Jiang Heng had decided he would never return to that filthy place. He would win this battle fair and square. The next day, After the two had arranged their respective work, that they got on a green-skin train to Tibet as they wished, and even bought the legendary hard seats. The old man with a missing tooth next to them whistled when he spoke, but his mouth never closed the entire journey. Jiang Hung was all cramped up with his long legs. Finally, Rinchuan couldn't take it anymore. He honestly told the old man that he was a bit tired and wanted to sleep, but inwardly he couldn't help complaining. This little green train was even livelier than a Haidaleo restaurant. The so-called hard seat meant you had to bite the bullet and sit through it. Rinchuan wanted to use sleep to escape the chatty old man, but he couldn't fall asleep at all. All around them, people were watching videos and eating. The sound of crying children rose and fell, never seeming to stop. Jiang Hung felt dizzy just holding the travel guide. Just then, a female attendant came by. Jiang Hung quickly asked the young lady how much longer until Lessa. When Rinchuan heard it was still 40 hours, he instantly broke down. Even the usually composed Jiang Hung couldn't help but wail when he heard 40 hours. The biggest fear was that before they could see the heavenly scenery of Lessa, they would arrive in heaven first. Seeing Rinchuan's dejected and hopeless expression, Jiang Hung reached out and worriedly placed a hand on Rinchuan's forehead, asking if he wanted some water. Rinchuan pointed to the luggage rack above their heads. "I have some in my bag." Jiang Hung stood up to get the water and saw the complete set of gear Rinchuan had prepared. He worriedly asked Rinchuan how much money he had spent. At that moment, Rinchuan's mind was entirely on Jiang Heng's slightly exposed waist. He couldn't help but swoon inwardly. What a nice waist. Jiang Hung was rummaging through the bag when suddenly a box of travel essentials fell out, landing on Rinchuan's head with a thud. Then, in full view of everyone, it landed steadily on the table. After a brief silence, the beautiful woman across from them, her eyes full of mirth, picked it up and handed it to Rinchuan. "Your thing." Rinchuan took it, not understanding. He read the words on the box clearly. "Ultra-thin inspiration." "What's that?" Then, everyone at the table fell into an awkward silence. Rinchuan realized what it was. He quickly moved the thing in his hand under the table. Right now, he just wanted to find a hole to crawl into and settle down. The scene was so awkward he was curling his toes. One can only say that Meng Chun's preparations were a little too thorough. Suddenly, the man across from them stood up and gave Jiang Hung a shove, followed by a string of curses. "What do you mean by deliberately pulling out this kind of thing?" Rinchuan couldn't be bothered with embarrassment at this point. His husband was being yelled at. He quickly stood up to support his terminally ill husband and roared at the man, "What the hell are you yelling for? Don't you know how to talk properly?" Over here, the beautiful woman who had picked up the item also stood up to persuade the man. Suddenly, the man seemed to understand something. The corner of his mouth lifted as he cursed, "Fucking perverts."